Alrighty, hold on, let me turn up the volume a little bit more. Hey, how's it going, Adam? Good to see you again this week. Give me one quick second, brother. Well, I obviously go live at 12, so I just wanted to set a couple of things up first. Alright, let's put the capture card down here. And boom! Alright, sweet. And we're good to go. How you doing this week, Adam? Good seeing you here again. But yeah, no, so basically, as far as it goes this stream, what I want to do is, so last time I was here, I had someone recommend that I should buy the Isle of Armor and start doing the shiny hunting methods using the max raids. And so what I'm gonna do is I want to see if I can get a shiny Sobble, because I've just been trying so hard to get a shiny Sobble. Once I get the shiny Sobble, then I'm gonna move on to getting legendaries doing the max raids. Obviously, you know, I don't know how long this is gonna take as far as the Sobble goes, but I've been spending days just trying to get it. And so as far as it goes right now, I just want to get the shiny Sobble. So because it's one of these things where it's like I could technically, if I really wanted to, I could just quit and be like, all right, time to go to Isle of Armor or the Crown Tundra. But I've just spent so much time getting the Sobble. I'm just like, no, I just don't want to waste I just don't want to have wasted my time. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just kind of where I am right now with it, as far as it goes. Another thing which is kind of interesting, this is a little off topic, but this is still on the topic of Pokemon for all those people who are card collectors. So I got up yesterday morning at around, well, let me rephrase that. So I got up to go to Walmart yesterday morning at around 10 o'clock, right? And I thought to myself, oh, I'll just go check and see if there's any Pokemon cards, because I like to check that out every so often. Maybe like once every couple of weeks. And so basically I went down and completely empty, right? And I was like, all right, I want to test this out, because I was told that they restocked once a week. And so I was like, all right, maybe I can try and see, like, maybe there's one day that it is restocked, right? So today I do the same exact thing. I go in at 10 o'clock to go see if they restocked. So what's interesting is this time around there was a couple of boxes. So I went to go see the couple of boxes. I was like, man, there's like nothing left here. Did they restock and everyone took everything? I talked to one of the ladies there and she said, oh yeah, the lady came this morning and within 10 minutes the whole shelf was completely just absolutely barren except for what you see right here on the shelf. So it's just absolutely crazy to me how like this is kind of where we are in the Pokemon market, where if you literally go like because it's a, what's it, a Wednesday? Yeah, so Walmart closes at 7, right? And so I showed up there at 10 o'clock, just thought I'd check it out. It's already sold out, everything. And so it just makes it so frustrating as like people who are collectors to try to get product if they're unable to online, because, you know, Walmart usually has enough inventory, and it's just crazy at the point we are in the market. So, but yeah, no, so I'm definitely hoping that all of this kind of settles down. I mean, from a business perspective, the demand is nice, but it's just super annoying as a collector not being able to get access to a lot of product because people are just buying everything out on Walmart. It's just super dumb. But I mean, for those people too who know obviously about the Shining Fate set coming up, I mean, I've heard from a lot of people it's been very tough at this point to get a hold of it, especially considering now, like, I mean, I wouldn't even call them, I mean, you could call them scalpers, I guess, but people are literally pricing them at like $130 plus for an Elite Trainer box, and it hasn't even been released yet, which is insane. So, I mean, I guess they're expecting the Shining Fates Elite Trainer box to match that of the Hidden Fates Elite Trainer box long term, which, I mean, it's possible. But boy, oh boy, it's just absolutely insane to me that this is the point that we're at in the Pokemon market. So, also another thing as well I think that's kind of exciting is they just released the set list of the cards that you're going to be able to get when you're going to McDonald's. So for those people who actually don't know, so they're going to have packs of like Pokemon cards like you would like an actual Pokemon pack, and they're going to give it out to people who buy Happy Meals, or if I'm correct, I think you can spend $1 and get one yourself. But basically it'll have 3 random cards out of 50. And so you'll be able to collect all 50. So the question obviously then is, are people gonna go in and just buy them all up right away? Hopefully not, because that's just so obnoxious if that's kind of just where we are right now, and people are just gonna resell those specific cards, and you're just gonna see the prices skyrocket. But who knows? Because I mean, historically speaking, the promo cards have never done really good for Pokemon, so it'll be definitely interesting to see. But yeah, no. So for the couple people who just kind of fizzled on in, basically, what I explained at the very beginning of the stream is, so I just bought the I just bought the expansion, and so I want to start doing the max raid shiny hunting because obviously increased odds. But I've been spending the past couple of streams trying to get this Sobble, and so I want to get the shiny Sobble before I go in to do that. So I've spent literally at least 6, 7, 8 hours doing this on trying to get the shiny Sobble. So if I can get the shiny Sobble, then I'll make sure to go on to the max raid stream. So, or max raid stream, sorry, doing the max raids to get the shinies. So, which I've never, I mean, obviously I just got the expansion, so I've never done it before, but I'll be interested to see what that's like. So, because I think if I'm correct, I mean, don't quote me on this, but the odds are like 1 in 50 when it comes to the overall shinies that you could possibly get. So you get way better odds, to say the least. So versus right now I'm like 1 in 550 or something like that. So who knows what'll happen. So, but yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of just as far as it goes in the Pokemon market right now, and just everything that's been going on. We obviously know that there's going to be some releases coming out, or the Shining Fates is obviously coming out this month, and so that's kind of just the biggest hype, because I think the first box comes out on either the 17th or the 19th, so because they're being sent out in waves. So that'll be exciting to see what that's all about, and finally be able to open some packs of those, because I'm super excited. And that's one of the things too for people who are just tuning in. On Mondays, I do pack opening days. And so this last week, I did Darkness Ablaze. And so this week, I'm going to do Cosmic Eclipse. And then what I think I'm going to do, too, is once I've done the Cosmic Eclipse, what I'm going to do next is, leading up into it, I'm going to also be breaking open some, I think 1 at least. I don't know if I'm going to do 2 or 3, but I'm going to be opening up some of the Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes and breaking them up on stream on our usual Monday stream. So I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do as far as putting them up on the website for purchase of breaking. And that's purely just because I don't know how many I'll be receiving at this point when they do come out, so it'll really be up to that. But yeah, no, I would love to be able to offer break packs, obviously, for people to buy. So, and what's kind of interesting too is, so I actually just got a large order of like Cosmic Eclipse, Unified Minds, and Evolutions, right? And so I have them just set as like you just buy the packs themselves, not the breakers. And so I had a couple of people on our last breaker on Sunday start saying, hey, you should totally like make the Cosmic Eclipse and the Evolutions and the Unified, you should totally add them to the break. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, like no problem, right? The next day after that happened, I literally had a guy from Germany hit me up and be like, I want to buy every single Evolution pack you have. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to have any more Evolution packs to put on the stream. So I've been trying my best to be able to get access to a lot of stream packs, or breaker packs for the stream. So it's one of these things where it's really hard to get them anywhere near MSRP. It's like one of these things where you're typically having to buy them above MSRP and try and do your best to obviously offer them at an affordable price for people. So, but yeah, no, that's kind of just where we are. So, and then obviously another thing as well, we've got the following month in March, we're going to have Battle Styles. So that'll be super exciting. Obviously, it's not a super hyped up set. Like, obviously with the full art announcements, like the Rainbow Rares of the waifu cards, a lot of people are going to get super stoked about that. And I really like the Tyranitar and the Empoleon Secret Rare arts. I think those are very pretty. So I'm excited for that. Hey, what's up, Hannah? Good to see you again this week. How you doing? But yeah, no, so I think the art designs are really sick for the battle style. So I'm super excited about that. So Hannah, I don't know if you were here for when I was explaining this, but basically, so I bought the expansion pass, But as you remember from last stream when I was here, I literally have been spending forever just trying to get this Sobble. And so what I'm going to do is as soon as I get the Sobble, then I'll do the expansion pass. But as it stands right now, I straight up am just like, I just want to get the Sobble first. And then I'll do the expansion pass. So I'm at that point. But have you gotten any more shinies since we last talked? I remember you were saying you were averaging quite a bit. You finished your Pokédex? Oh, that's exciting. Now you got to go with the shiny dex. I mean, literally, like, I remember you were telling me you were averaging several shinies a day when you were playing on Let's Go Pikachu. And so I wonder how close you are to that. Unless, of course, you're telling me you finished your shiny dex, and that's impressive to say the least. But yeah, no. So, and that's the thing is, although obviously going for the Sobble right now has a lot lower odds, it's like, I just want to get it. I just want to get the Sobble, and I'll get it, and then I'll move on. Just let me get the Sobble, and then I can just be on with my day. I can't remember when I was hunting last time. Okay, so last time we talked, what were you hunting? I'm trying to think. I feel like it's like at the tip of my tongue. I remember there was one thing you were hunting, and you were like, "Why does this thing hate me?" And then you're like, "Never mind, I got it." And then you said you were gonna start hunting something else. I could be 100% wrong, but I think it didn't have an evolution. Oh my god, this is actually going to drive me nuts. What was it that you said you were hunting last time? Oh my gosh, what were you hunting? It was a water type, but that's the one you got. It's a water type. I'm pretty certain it's a water type, the one you were hunting. Or was it a water type? Gosh dang it, this is going to drive me nuts. I'll think about it. I'll think about it, but gosh dang, what were you hunting last time? Oh, it was a Taurus. Oh, a Psyduck. Yes. You got the Psyduck. Okay, that was the water type. But then you were hunting a Taurus. That's what you were hunting. Yeah, so the Psyduck is what you got last time, and then you started hunting a Taurus, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but I feel like a Taurus is what you're hunting last. Well, yeah, no, I remember you're like, why do you Psyduck hate me? And then you're like, never mind, and you ended up getting a Psyduck, and you're super stoked. But, yeah, no, yeah, still on the Sobble train, man. Just still trying my hardest to get it. But, you know, we'll see. Obviously, we're only 15 minutes into the stream, so I'm definitely hoping that I'll be able to get it sometime by the end of the stream. So, but gosh dang, just never lucky, I guess. But anyway, so going back into what I was talking about before with kind of what's going on in the Pokemon market. Yeah, no, Battle Styles I think is going to be cool as far as artwork goes. I'm pretty excited for that set. So, and we still have no word about the anniversary and what that set's going to look like, but I presume that's going to all be released coming in the date of Pokemon's actual 25th anniversary. So right now the biggest hype is obviously just the Pokemon cards that are going to be released on February 9th with the promos being in the Happy Meals at McDonald's. So, but which, I mean, like I said before, most of the time promos don't do that well, but this is a year to be different, that's for sure. Because boy, this is an extraordinary year. I can't remember things I got after. I know you got a shiny Drowsy, a shiny Sparrow, a shiny Rattata, and 2 shiny Pikachus. Gosh dang, man. There really is such a huge odds difference when it comes to that game. It's kind of crazy to me. But honestly, one of the things I actually... So I've never played Pokemon Pikachu, or Let's Go Pikachu. I actually have it, if I'm correct. But that's because I bought this Switch from someone a while ago, and they had a bunch of games. But one of the things I did think was really cool about it was that the perspective in which you're looking. Oh, you're good, Hannah. But yeah, no, this perspective in which you're looking in the game, like kind of like it is in this one, you're able to see the sparkles. That was one of the things I think that would be really cool if they implemented in Pokemon Sword and Shield or any of the next upcoming ones, because it's really cool being able to see the Pokemon sparkle while it's in nature and not just when you encounter it. But yeah, no, that's just kind of my take on it. So maybe that's why the odds are so much higher. but also at the same exact time, it's like you're literally just joining in random encounters and you're just kind of chilling and you're hunting. So I don't know, just my kind of 2 cents on it. But yeah, no, still hoping to see as well if we're gonna get the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. Obviously, this has been speculative hype for several years now, and people are saying this is the year it's finally gonna happen. And if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be real sad, because Pokemon Sword, in my opinion, and Shield has been just a disaster of a game. And so who knows? As a shiny hunter, you know, you can't complain, but as an average Pokemon fan, you're like, they could have done better by far. So, but who knows? And another thing too, man. Oh, sorry, I've already. I got up real early this morning. But yeah, no. Obviously, I've never played the Crown Tundra or the Isle of Armor. Sorry, and so I'll be excited to see what that looks like. I've seen like obviously the advertising videos for it, but I hope the expansion is actually worth the $30 that they make you pay for it, because it's kind of a sham that they're making you spend money to get extensions on the game versus in every other previous game that they had any sort of expansion, you didn't have to pay anything for it. So it's just like, sweet, I'm paying for content that I usually would have in the game. So, but at least I'll have access to the new Pokemon, which I don't even know if they're legendaries, the fighting types. Oh, whoopsie, wrong button. Wrong button, I want to quit. Yes, please. What egg are we on now, Glugs? Okay, so here's the thing, Glugs. This is what I was mentioning before. So right now, I'm on Sobble. I was on Sobble last time, and I just had absolute terrible luck. Went 3 hours, didn't get it. So here's what the plan is. The plan is we're going to get the Sobble shiny, and then we're going to start doing... I just bought the expansion. We're going to start going for max raids and doing those. So, because obviously it's a lot more exciting for people to watch the raids than it is for me doing the eggs. But to be honest with you, I'm at a point now where I've done so many eggs. I just want to get the shiny Sobble so freaking bad right now, dude. Like, it just has taken so long so far for me to get it. I mean, it's like 1 in 500's the odds, and I'm pretty much pushing 500. I don't know how far I am, because obviously I don't have a counter. So, which that's another thing I want to work on with the next stream. I want to try to make a better layout, because obviously like the layout right now is fine because you're able to see the full game, as well as you're able to see my face cam like in an orderly manner. But I want to get a layout and I can have a counter that I can just click on and just continue to increase every time I see an encounter. So I can really count and see how many it took. But yeah, no. And if I'm correct, the max raids too, I think they're legendary max raids. So you have a chance of getting that shiny legendary, which will be sick. So, but speaking of shinies too, man, I am super excited for that shiny Ditto. That thing looks beautiful. That looks like such a cool card. I'm just curious how much it's gonna cost to complete the master set for Shining Fates. Is there a trading hub somewhere? I mean, I know. So the thing is, this is one of the things that kind of upsets me about this platform on Sword and Shield. So in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, you were able to actually wait. No, that's a lie. You can do trades, but here's the way in which they do it. It's kind of annoying. But so in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, you had to go online, like onto your like DS, and it had like an online thing. And so basically, how that happened was when you would go online, it would give you the option to international trade with people. And so when you would international trade, it would allow you to request whichever Pokemon that you were looking for. And then once you did that... Oh, hold on one quick second. Sorry about that. As I was saying, want a shiny Inteleon? Thanks for the offer, brother, but I honestly am just trying to get it right now through just hunting myself. But anyway, as I was saying, sorry, I had someone come in and ask me a question. Basically, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so in Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they had the I forgot what it was called, but they had the Navs decks, and then they had the online where you could go online and you could trade with people internationally. And so basically, thanks for the follow, by the way, brother. But basically how it worked is you would request a Pokemon and then you'd put a Pokemon up for trade yourself. And if someone else requested that Pokemon and also had the Pokemon up for trade that you wanted, it would pair you guys together. So it made it really convenient. And typically, you could get a Pokemon that you wanted as fast as 10 to 15 minutes as long as you had a Pokemon that was desirable. So if you just said, I want to trade a Bidoof for a really rare Pokemon, no one's going to trade with you, and so it never happened. But if you wanted to trade one of the starters per se, which a lot of people wanted, then you could get a really fast, you can get your Pokemon really fast. So that was kind of the system they did right now. So within this game, Glugs, how they run it is they do it a couple of ways. One, you just randomly get matched with someone. You guys can't talk to each other. It's you have Pokemon they show, and they have Pokemon they show you. And you have to just kind of hope that they show you one that you want. But it's one of these things where there's no communication. So it's you're screwed. The only other way to trade, kind of like you would in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, is with Pokemon Home. You can do that exact same method, and then it would link to your Sword and Shield. So you're still able to do it in Sword and Shield. It's just the way in which they did it is a roundabout kind of way, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. And I think the purpose of why they did it, I'm pretty confident in saying this, but with Sword and Shield, they transitioned into making it so that, or sorry, not Sword and Shield, with Pokemon Home, they transitioned into making it the all-encompassing, this is what Pokemon is going to be now. You transfer all your Pokemon from all different games to it. And so it's definitely trying to make Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield all be able to transfer it to Pokemon Home. My biggest issue with that, personally speaking, is it's going to affect the odds rate within the game. Because obviously, if you have a Pokemon from, say, Pokemon Go, right? Let's say I'm trying to get a legendary. It's a 1 in 20 getting a shiny if I'm doing a raid. Or if you're doing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, then your odds are a 1 in 100 if I'm correct. So it's it messes a lot with the odds in the game. And so it makes it really, kind of destroy the value of a lot of shinies. What I think they're going to start doing, I could be wrong, is they could possibly start to generate tags for where they came from, and so people can value the Pokemon based off of that. Okay, I remember getting a legendary shiny level 100, just putting on a tick on Diamond and Pearl game. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that shiny is legit, because you see a lot of fake shinies all the time with people during that era with the action replays. I mean, you still see fake shinies. I remember there's a time where I just tested it out, right? And I put up a Rayquaza for trade for a shiny Mew, which, I mean, it's kind of a dumb trade. No one in the right mind would take it. But someone did, and literally the tag, because it says where the trainer was from, it said at goFyourself.com. And so when you see tags like that, it means it's a fake one. Because what happens, I mean, if we're looking from a tournament perspective, is you want to look at the trainer ID and see where it came from. And a lot of the times with shinies, to know if they're real or not, you can see where they were caught. If they were caught in an area that is an actual legit area, then it's a legit shiny 9 times out of 10. And the same goes for, when you're breeding a Pokemon. But you got decked out. Yeah, right. You're just flexing all your shinies on people. Just as long as you weren't that guy that was oh, you realized you got a fake shiny and then you just decided to trade it with some kid just for something good. Kind of like with Pokemon cards when you were a little kid. I don't know if anyone else did this. I was so stupid. We were all so stupid as little kids. But so, we didn't follow the rules of the game, right? None of us knew the rules. We didn't care to learn the rules. And so how we valued our Pokemon cards was, so the energy types, right? It has energy types on the cards. So there is one Pokemon, right? If a Pokemon had, if it had the symbol that requires it so you don't have to use energies for that Pokemon, we thought it was the best Pokemon ever. I don't understand our rationale behind it, but literally, so like in the current standard, if I'm correct, the Alolan Vulpix, it requires no energies to use it, but it says search for 2 Pokemon in your deck, right? So that card, if we were little kids, was deemed broken because it didn't require us to search for anything. And so we would trade our holographic rares, we would trade like everything for those kind of cards, and we were such idiots because you're just little kids who don't know any better. Also, HP was a huge factor as well. So like I remember I had a Wailord, so I had a theme deck, a Torterra theme deck. That was the first Pokemon deck I ever got, and I traded my holographic Torterra to someone for a Wailord that had 200 HP, and at the time 200 was a lot. Like that was the most HP a Pokemon could have, and so people were like, "Oh my God, you have it! Like that's such a cool like thing." And so one of my buddies at the time was like, "I want your Wailord, like it has the most HP." And I'm like, "What are you willing to give me for it? Like I want something good, right?" So the guy traded me like a holographic like Giratina and then some other holographic legendary, which at the time, I mean like they were like, "Oh, you got scammed, like you should have asked for something better." But it's one of these things too where when you're a little kid, you don't know any better. But now looking back at it, I got the way better end of the deal because no one wants some like bum ass like non-holographic Wailord with 200 HP that's not even good versus actual holographic legendaries. So I just think that's kind of funny, like looking back to just kind of how you were as a kid. I mean, we all do the stupidest things and we just kind of value things completely based off of whatever our minds generate. But yeah, no. But kind of a random topic, but it's still in the relevance of Pokemon in the card market. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it is, though. Certain people value things at certain prices, and certain people value cards more to collect than others, you know? Just kind of part of the game. But yeah, no, another thing, Glugs, is Diamond and Pearl, man. I freaking love Diamond and Pearl. I mean, I talk about this almost every single video because I'm just basic like that, and that's all I ever want to talk about. But Diamond and Pearl, it's just one of my favorite things. Oh, dude, Silly Band trading for cards? That's... Okay, I remember that too. So I remember got a Charizard level X for 200. Okay, for 200 Silly Bands? God, how much were Silly Bands even? Because, like, on the street yard, like when you're at the playgrounds, they were, like, gold. Like, everyone loves Silly Bands. That's so funny thinking about that. Yeah, I used to do that all the time, too. I remember because I didn't care. I was like, wow, it's a rubber band. That's so cool. Who cares? Every time I got them, I was like, all right, now who do I know likes rubber bands more than Pokemon cards? And so I would do the exact same thing. So, and some people were crazy about it too. They'd be like 10 for this really good Pokemon, 10 for this really good Pokemon, because they're just a bunch of rubber bands, and people would just deck their whole wrist out and be like, yo, look at how cool I am. I got all these rubber bands. And you're just like, you're an idiot. So it's so funny too. What you could do, thinking about it, is you could totally finesse the system if you were a little kid thinking about it, is you could totally go to like a store, right? Buy up all the Silly Bands and just go in and just start trading with kids. Which obviously, like, I'm saying if I was younger, because I'm not going to go start trading with a bunch of like 5-year-olds and just taking their money, basically. Like, you're just robbing kids. Which I've joked about this a lot with my friends, but I'm like, I feel like I should literally just hire a kid to go finesse other kids. Be like acting like I'm his older brother, right? And just basically like tell him like, all right, here's the deal. Here's some Silly Bands. I want you to go get the best cards. And I'll act like I'm your older brother. Obviously I'm not. And I'm just kind of watching from a distance. And I want you to just absolutely finesse the crap out of these kids and just take all their good Pokemon. And that would be, like, obviously I'd never do that because it's so mean, but someone could totally run a sham like that. Like, you can just imagine, I can just imagine some kid having, like, a rainbow rare Charizard from, like, Burning Shadows. And, like, this kid's prize collection, like, he loves it, right? And it's just worth, obviously, hundreds of dollars. And let's just say, for the hypothetical sense, right? This kid kept it in good condition. It's not PSA 10, but good condition. Still worth a good amount of money, right? Now let's just say that this kid's like 6 years old. He doesn't know any better. I tell this other kid, hey man, I'm gonna pay you $20, which is worth a lot for when you're a 6-year-old, to go try and trade a bag of silly bands, which costs 20 cents a band, or like for obviously like a whole bag, like only a couple of bucks. You go trade this bag for that Charizard and see if that kid wants to do it. Dude, talk about finessing the kid. Like, yuck. That would be so messed up. But I always think about these kind of things just because it would seem so funny to me. Because there were obviously those kids that would have fake Pokemon cards and they just finesse the crap out of other kids, which is so messed up. I mean, they didn't know any better though because they didn't know they were fake. But yeah, no. And you did a lot of finessing yourself back in the day. Yeah, no, it's funny too because a lot of us like finessed other kids and we didn't even realize it. Like I was mentioning before, like the whole Whale Lord. Like I felt like I got a bad end of the trade because I was like, oh man, I lost a Pokemon that had 200 HP. So, which I feel like that's one of the reasons why HP nowadays is so high because people are literally like valuing HP because this is geared towards little kids. So, but yeah, no, finessing at the schoolyard, man, that was the freaking play when you were a kid. That's how people know you were the king or not. Oh, another thing too, if you were the kid that had an action replay, everyone would bring I remember, so like growing up, we all had Diamond and Pearl, or we had like Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby. Like those were all the games that we grew up playing. And so I remember one of my buddies had the Game Shark for the Game Boy, and then one of my other buddies had the Game Shark for the DS Action Replay, right? And so basically, I just remember one of the kids, right? He was just a stubborn mofo, right? And the kid would not let anyone use his Game Shark. And I remember he let me borrow it for 1 second, and I put 100 rare candies on the account and like a couple legendaries. And he got so mad at me because he was like, no, this is mine and no one else is allowed to be as good as me. And he had this like kind of pompous to him, like he wouldn't let anyone use it, and I just absolutely just finessed him, and I was able to max out all my Pokemon at level 100, which is super hard to do when you're talking about like back in the day on the Game Boy games, right? Because the XP curve is so hard. And then my other buddy had the action replay, and it was interesting too because like everyone wanted to use the action replay, and so we'd all take turns using it, and it was such a sham too because you're just generating a bunch of fake Pokemon. And like eventually I got my own action replay, which what's interesting is they actually sold them at GameStop at the time. I don't know if they still do. The fact that a GameStop like sells like a hacking device, in my opinion, is what you'll call it, because you're actually coding to be able to generate what you were doing. And it's so funny too, you would just look it up on Google, copy paste it, and then put it in it. But it was like you had to do it manually, line by line, because you couldn't actually copy paste it unless you were to download the disk drive. You could do it that way too. But anyway, yeah, no, so literally it was like you came to a point of where you had your DS Action Replay, and I would just straight up, like, I'm like this 10-year-old kid at this time, right? I'd be like, yo, I got a DS Action Replay, who wants what? And they'd be like, I want this, I want that. I'd be like, what you got? And then the kids that had the legit shinies, I would trade them the fake shinies that they wanted, and they wouldn't give a crap because they're like just a bunch of 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, or however old they were at the time, just wanting to get that shiny specifically. And I'm like, I'll take a legit shiny over a fake shiny any day. So you just talk about finessing as a little kid. So it's just so funny to kind of like reminisce and that kind of stuff. So that was my childhood, because Pokemon, oh my god, dude, Pokemon was huge when I was a kid. Like, and it's weird to think too, because it's gotten even bigger like now, but like I always thought it was huge when I was a kid, because growing up I just absolutely was in love with it. And I already told this story on my last stream too. But basically the story of how I like got into Pokemon cards. It was one of my buddies, and I don't know if you've heard this story before, Glugs. I don't know if I've told it to you. But basically, so how the story went was, I had a buddy who had collected Pokemon, and he's like 2 years older than me, right? So he's in his mid 20s right now. And so basically, when I was young, I was not allowed to play Pokemon because my parents were like, "It's of the devil, it's satanic, it's pocket monsters, oh, like all this stupid shit, right?" And so I just remember my buddy, his parents were allowing him to get Pokemon cards, and so he would sneak Pokemon cards and give them to me. And then my mom found out about it, that I was getting Pokemon cards smuggled from my friend, and so basically, my parents went and talked to his parents about it and were like, "It's satanic, it's evil, blah, blah, blah." And his parents got freaked out and they're like, "Oh my god, it's satanic, it's evil." And so they told him he wasn't allowed to play with it, right? So this is when I was like 8 years old at the time, probably, right? So several years down the line, right, my parents decided to change their mind. And I am allowed to now trade Pokemon cards. But then he is not allowed to trade Pokemon cards because it's satanic and stuff, because my mom convinced him. And my mom then changed her mind. And so then I was the one smuggling Pokemon cards for him. And so it's just kind of funny because originally he was smuggling Pokemon cards for me, and then I started smuggling Pokemon cards for him. And so it's just one of these things where it's just so funny. Because of just how you're just a little kid just trying to smuggle Pokemon cards. And I remember the first one he gave me like a Rapidash with 90 HP, and once again, being a kid, you're like, HP is the best, and he got it from a theme deck, and I was like, oh my god, it has 90 HP, that's so good for my first Pokemon card, because I just wanted any Pokemon card, you know. And so having one that had 90 HP was just such a big deal to me. I was like super excited to be able to get it, which you're like, looking back at it, you're like, oh, that's a literal common inside of a deck that you just spend $13, you get a common. But hey man, when you're a little kid, like literally anything in your eyes is just pure gold. So especially level X's, like the promo level X's too. Oh my gosh, I wanted those so bad as a kid. And it's funny too, because once again, going back to being a little kid, $15 is how much it would cost. But when you're like 10 years old, I don't know for most people, but for me, like yeah, I could say like I grew up like better off than most kids, but when it came to money, I never had money. And if I wanted something, my parents were like, "Oh, you want it? Well, you better work for it then." I'm like, I'm 10, how do I work for it? And so it was one of these things where I was like, I could sometimes, if I was lucky, like do chores around the house to get Pokemon, but at the end of the day, like I never really had the money unless it was my birthday or Christmas. Then I would get money purely because like I get $20 from one of my grandmas, $20. Hey, welcome back, Hannah. But I get $20 from one of my grandmas, 20 from another grandma, and then I would get 20 from my parents, right? And so that's like $60 for me to spend. And then if I was lucky, I would get a couple of presents for my birthday from my parents. And so it was like that was the only time I was ever able to buy Pokemon, right? And so I was just absolutely just, you know, every time I saw a Pokemon tin, I was like, I can only get 4 Pokemon tins, so I gotta be wise about which ones I get or how I spend my money. And so it was just kind of the funniest thing, seeing like the Infernape level X tin. It was just such a big deal. Opening a booster box would be insane. I only opened 3 tins, the rest was trading. I remember, now that I think about it, so I remember what I did actually. I don't know why or how I figured this out when I was a kid, but when I was about 12 years old, I went online and someone was selling Stormfront packs for $3, which to me, I was like, these are fake cards. There's no way these are real. Because $3, because if you went to the store, they were like $4, and so selling them for $3, I was like, this is the steal of a lifetime. Not knowing that I could go to other websites. Hey, let's see that luck, Hannah. Let's see that luck. My goodness gracious. 40 minutes in on the stream. Let's see if we can get some shiny Sobble luck. But yeah, no, like $1 under, which is so funny too nowadays because we're at a point in the market where people are like, oh, it's $1 under. That's such a shame. It has to be like no more than $2.50 for people to even want to get the pack. But I ended up buying, like, I saved up $90 for, I think it was my birthday, and I ended up buying like a bunch of Stormfront packs. And if I'm correct, what I got was I got a Dusknoir level X. I think that was my main pull I got, and then I also got another level X I'm trying to think of. So, but I just remember being super stoked that I got the Dusknoir, which I still have the same exact Dusknoir, but I was a really dumb kid, and I didn't... Well, first off, I didn't put it in anything other than a binder, and obviously, you know, the binders aren't protective if you're using the 3 rings, especially when you don't know what penny sleeves are. And And so going back prior to when I actually got the Stormfront packs, right? So what I ended up doing was I was so stupid and I was so mad at myself for doing this. But I took all my cards, like my level X's, because I never brought them to school because I was always afraid someone was going to steal them. So I never brought them to school because there was reports that some kid would steal your Pokemon cards. So we were very, very safe about it. So basically, I remember one day I brought them to school, right? And then the next day I forgot that I had left them in my pocket and they all got washed in the dryer. And I just absolutely was just in tears sad because I had like 14 level X's and I was like, oh my god, all my level X's that I love so much. It sucked so much. And so that's where I bought the 30 packs before. And then I never knew boxes were a thing. Seeded? What do you mean by seeded? So I never knew booster boxes were a thing either. Like when you're a little kid, well actually no, that's a lie. I knew booster boxes were a thing, but I knew they were $144 in my mind. And so I was like, $144? That's so expensive in my eyes, which is the same as 4. I was like, I didn't have the money for that, right? And now looking back at it, obviously I could have gone to other websites, but when you're like an 8 or 9-year-old kid, the fact that you're able to navigate the website or navigate the internet is impressive nonetheless. So it's like finding Pokemon packs for $3 was a steal in my mind. So I still was able to walk away with at least getting them for relatively good price. So, which obviously, looking back on it now, you're like, man, I wish I had bought more, but I didn't have the money to buy more. So the only thing I can say to myself possibly is maybe I can say when I was 16 and I had a job, and instead of spending and blowing all my money on having a girlfriend that I was simping over, I could have instead taken all my money and bought Pokemon cards. Which, I mean, who would have thought about that? Like, oh, look at how expensive Pokemon cards are now. Like, who needs you, woman? I got myself some Pokemon cards. Right, Hannah? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, so seriously, like, aren't you guaranteed a secret rare with booster boxes? So that's the thing. I don't know what you were guaranteed specifically. Oh, sorry about this. I'm not 100% certain. If I'm correct, you were guaranteed one in the level X era, but prior in the EX era, I don't think you were. I think you were guaranteed at least to get an EX, but like with the star Pokemon, I don't know if you were guaranteed to get one. So, but obviously nowadays you are. But what's interesting too is so like I did on Monday, I broke open the Darkness Ablaze box and I completed it this week. And straight up didn't get a single rainbow rare. So if we're talking secret rares, the one that I was guaranteed was, I guess, the Crobat V Full Art, which, I mean, I guess that is considered a secret rare, but in my eyes, it's like, I feel like you'd at least get a rainbow rare in the box, right? So I don't know. It's one of these things where it's kind of weird because I don't know what is actually considered to be a secret rare during the time. Would you say a level X is considered a secret rare? Or like if we're talking Stormfront, is it going to be one of the evolution lines of the Charizard? Because with the Stormfront, one of the reasons why Stormfront's one of my favorite sets next to Majestic Dawn was with Stormfront, one of the secret rares, you can get one of the 3 Charizard line cards. So what they did was they took the Charmander through Charizard and they literally redesigned the original artwork and they made it modern and then they put a gold bracket around it and I thought it looked so sick. And so I don't know if that was guaranteed that you would get one. I feel pretty confident saying you were guaranteed a level X, but also if you think about it, if that is actually true, then the Majestic Dawn boxes are hyper undervalued. Because I recently sold one for $5,000. I know one's on auction right now for $5,500. But if you really think about it, right? The population report for these Leafeon and Glaceon level X's is so low that, obviously you're not guaranteed a 10. But if you were to at least hit one of them and you have a shot at that 10, you would double your money's worth. So it's almost like it's just worth it to buy the booster box, especially considering the fact of the matter that there are so many other cards in the set, like the reverse holo EVs, that have like population 2s and 3s and PSA 10s. And if you just hit one of them on a 10, then you automatically get yourself another $1,000 or so, because the cards are so rare to find. And for people trying to collect master sets, they're gonna be unable to get them any other way. So I don't know, it's kind of weird to think about that. So because I always thought, what if I just broke down a booster box? Because obviously, you know, like a lot of people, I mean most people I should say nowadays, if you're going back and you're looking at like the base set booster boxes, people are breaking down the commons, right? Like that's kind of the thing. Like if you get a common Charizard card, or not Charizard, sorry, yeah, that's common. A common Charmander, right? That's worth a couple $100 in a PSA 10. And so you got to ask yourself, with the Majestic Dawn era and a lot of these other level X eras that have low pop, why aren't people doing it with that? I feel like nowadays, just breaking open the boxes and then just grading all of the commons. Because you have to say to yourself that for people trying to do the master collections, those are going to be worth quite a bit of money. Obviously, it's an investment by you breaking it down, but if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, if you're getting 360 cards, right? And let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say you buy a Stormfront booster box for $400. Or not $400, for let's say $5,000 for a Stormfront booster box, right? Let's say $5,000, right? You get 360 cards. So let's say hypothetically, so you're gonna get every single one of them graded. That's gonna cost you, that's gonna run the price of around, for 360 cards, it's gonna cost you another $3,600, right? So that right there, your initial invested is $8,600. However, if you can tell yourself that you can get all of those cards graded, right? And we're not saying that they're all going to be 10s and they're all going to be 9s and everything, but let's just say on average, right, that these cards, once they're graded, because they're so rare and you have 360 of them, they're going to each be worth about $50 a piece, right? That still comes out to about $18,000. So like in the grand scheme of things, those cards could be worth a shit ton of money. And that's obviously averaging it out. Like I'm averaging it out when it comes to the value of the card, saying each one of them is $50. But I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Because if you get at least a PSA 9 level X, depending upon the set you're getting it from, it's still worth a couple $1,000s. Like I know the Glaceon sold last at PSA 9 for like $9,000 if I'm correct. And some guy's trying to sell it for 13. He's unlucky so far. From what I've seen on eBay. So I'll be interested to see if there's a price correction in the card, but there's only a pop 10. So if you can at least pull either a Leafeon or a Glaceon, that's a couple $1,000s right there is worth. Then you get 36 of the reverse holos, which if you at least hit another EV, that's another $1,000 if you get as a 10 and a 9, you can probably still get a couple hundred off of that card. And then you have the other holographic card. Like, dude, I'm like straight up just saying, if you really break it down, in the current market state, obviously, you have to have the money in the investment. You could look at it long term and still make a shit ton of money off of it. I think that would be a fun experiment to do. Because obviously, like, I know that a lot of Pokemon YouTubers, what they'll do is they're like, open this pack and see what the value of it is. But if you were to do a true value breakdown, like go into a full video, I think it would be actually kind of a fun experiment to do. And so breaking down the total cost of everything. And as it stands right now, I don't have the money to just blow that. That would be sick. Just be like, all right, let's try that experiment. Let's go blow $5,000 on getting a booster box of Stormfront. But let's just say that I did have the money. I don't know. I feel like it could definitely be something that works. So I don't know. Kind of just a weird thought process to have behind it. So, but that's yeah, no, I would definitely, I think the play of how you would do that though, because obviously I'm saying Stormfront, Diamond and Pearl, Majestic Dawn, but I think the play on how you would do that is you would go through the set list on PSA and we would look at all the cards with low populations, and that's how you would run it. You would look and you would say to yourself, this card has a low population, and I'm going to get it graded. And so, okay, so here's another thing. I actually want to kind of look this up. How do I screen share? I want to see if I can screen share this. So let's go to window, compatible with most add new source, window capture device. No, sorry guys. Hold on 1 second. No, this isn't working. Let me do this. I want to look it up. I want to look it up actually. I want to see on the screen. Display, primary, secondary monitor, game capture. Yeah, let's display capture. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. So this is my second monitor. So here's what we're going to look up. I'll just put it like right here for now. So what I think I want to do is I actually want to see from a mathematical perspective. Okay, so let's open it up right here. All right. So let's go to eBay and let's look it up on eBay, right? So let's just say, I don't know, say Diamond and Pearl. Storm. Let's just look up Stormfront PSA 10, right? We're just saying Stormfront PSA 10, right? So we're just looking at regular cards, right? From the Stormfront era. So this Diamond and Pearl, obviously it's not bought. So let's look at sold items. PSA 10, that's ungraded, that's ungraded. See, then now this is where the big money is. This is where 11,000 for it, right? This one sold PSA 10 January 13th. That probably sold for a couple hundred less. Okay, so here's an interesting one to look at. Okay, here, right? So look at this. Scyther PSA 10, right? It's a non-holographic. I don't know if it's a common or rare. It has a star next to it. Pokemon rarity symbols. Okay, so the rarity symbol. Okay, so if we look at the rarity symbol, it's hard to see kind of because I'm blind. But if we look at it, so the circle, the diamond, and the star, that's what the rarity levels are, right? For those people who can see it. It's kind of hard to see. I can kind of bring this a little bit bigger. But basically, what I'm trying to show you is, so this right here, it's considered a common card, but it's the final evolution stage, right? So if you think to yourself, this sold, first off, it was January 8th, and we're in February, so the price of the market has gone up drastically. And obviously, this is super speculative because we don't know how long, the market's going to last much longer, and hypothetically what everything's going to look like. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, right? Let's just say for the next year that the market stays at its current rate, right? And this common card that got a PSA 10, right? And this is from Stormfront, sold for $72 on a bidding auction, right? And it's got a low population. If you just say to yourself, right? You just, once again, going back and doing the math for it, you just get commons and you get 9s and 10s, my guys. Like, you're going to make a ton of money. Like, not to mention, look, like, you have these other reverse holographics that if you can get them as 10s are worth a ton. Not to mention the Fectomiter and the Stormfront. And let's see, how much is a Stormfront? Let's look it up. Let's look up Pokemon Stormfront booster box, right? So a Stormfront booster box last sold January for $4,000, if that's correct. I actually might buy one if that's how much there are. Is that right? Is that actually right? Was that genuinely sold for 4K? What's the condition on it? Edgeware looks a little rough. But if you're just trying to open it, obviously, then you got to ask yourself. Also, this is recently sold. Let's see if there's one listed. Oh my god, Evolution's going for $1,200. Yeah, right. Get out of here. You're crazy. But okay, I don't see it listed. So let's look up Pokemon, maybe just Diamond and Pearl. Let's just look up Diamond and Pearl booster box, and it should pop up. No. Oh, that's cool. It's a Japanese one though. Okay, so here's a similar comparison. This is an auction for 55. This is obviously people just watching. It's not being sold at that price. Interesting. The prices have obviously drastically increased in the past month. Wow, someone's trying to get that on bid for 300. Good luck with that. I don't know. I'll get rid of this now. But yeah, no. I think that's something interesting to kind of consider. I know it is hard. It is. I know, and so Greg, I 100% agree. I was saying just from a hypothetical perspective, right? I'm saying that's why I said from a hypothetical perspective, let's say that the market's like this for another year. I'm saying hypothetically, and yes, Glug is hard to find it, obviously, but I'm saying it's kind of an interesting thing when you break it down to think about it. And who's to say that the market's not going to crash in a year? And who's to say that? Possibly speaking, that the price of the Diamond and Pearl specifically, they just kind of are inflated and they go down. Like there's so much speculation on also if I'm gonna get the cards with it. Like obviously there's a ton of speculation on what it's gonna be, but I still think it's kind of an interesting concept to think about, because I mean, just think about it right now, right? Let's say that you yourself went and bought a, like, I don't know. And obviously, I feel like from a mathematical perspective, I don't know how you would equate this to it. But let's say you have a booster box, right? You bought yourself a base set first edition booster box. And now let's just say, and this is obviously just off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this. But let's say like Jake Paul, for example. He bought it for like $300,000 if I'm correct, right? Or that was the last one sold. I can't give you specifically. So with that being said, if you were to obviously, but that's hard though, because that's 300,000. Okay, so here's then what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, for example, first edition sets, they have a higher population, and so for that reason, those specific sets, the cards for the, which sounds crazy, right? But for the cards themselves, at their current age, their market value is their market value, and it's not going to grow as high up as a lot of these Diamond and Pearl. Like, obviously, it's going to last. It's going to be the most expensive at the end of the day, but I'm saying from a percentage perspective, because I'm equating things in the terms of supply and demand economics. If you're looking at the overall supply right now of these first editions, they have very large supplies in retrospect compared to the Diamond and Pearl era cards, because the large supply that you see is from people that went, bought up all the boxes, and went and got them graded. No one got Diamond and Pearl era cards graded. No one gave a crap, because Diamond and Pearl was a kind of a dud era for most people other than people that grew up in that era. And obviously I have a little bit of bias because that was one of the eras I grew up on, but still, you can't deny that if you're looking at it from a mathematical perspective, the profitability of you going through and grading all these cards that have very low populations for people that are trying to collect them, long term, I think can hold great value. Because let's just say, hypothetically speaking, right, that these card prices of the commons eventually go to the commons of first edition prices. And of course, you know, you're expecting first edition prices to increase by quite a bit because the demand increases. You're saying that a common will cost you $200 long term. And if you're buying a whole booster box right now for $6K, because that's, let's just say that's what we saw recently, right? You're buying $200, you get 300, and you get 36 packs, right? And you're going to get a reverse holo and a non-holo. So that's 8. So that's 8 in a pack times 36. It's 288 times 200. So on the holos alone, dude, I'm obviously, you know, this is all hypothetical. This is all speculative. But if you're saying each card's worth $200, which obviously I don't know if that is in 9, if that's in 10 form. Obviously, you know, each card varies, and I'm just averaging it out. So if you really want to get speculative with it and you don't like that, we can cut that in half and say each card's worth $100, right? Then you're still saying to yourself, that's 28K off of just the commons. So, and this is something that I'm looking at long term. Now, who knows? Pokemon could die out in the next couple of years. This could be completely just dumb and you're just an idiot blowing your money. But I don't know. I think it's just kind of a fun thing to think about. I'm not saying you should go do it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm not trying to give financial advice. But what I am saying is it's kind of something that is kind of interesting to look at when you're saying the value of cards and if they're overvalued or undervalued, because we're at a point now in the Pokemon market where things have gotten so absolutely ridiculously expensive that a lot of people are just trying to find ways to either get access to product, or specifically for people who are retailers like myself trying to find ways to make money. And so it's kind of interesting to think about this kind of stuff, about basically just crap, what am I trying to say? Just how you get a profitability. So, but yeah, no, because population plays a huge factor. That's what I'm basing this off of. I want everyone to know that. If you look at population report, the reason why the Leafeon and the Glaceon sold last higher than the Charizard level X was purely because it had a lower population than the Charizard. Now looking back at it, the Charizard's probably going to sell for more, and I could be wrong. It could have sold for more recently. But you're looking at population report, and that plays a huge factor in the grand scheme of things when it comes to people that are collecting Pokemon products, that they want to be able to complete those master sets, because there are obviously a lot of people that have a ton of money that are specifically like celebrities or just big wig collectors, that they want to get access to the full master set, and they're going to be able to pay whatever the market value holds on it. So just, I don't know, just something to think about. I think it's kind of a cool idea. So, because who knows? Maybe what starts to happen is these sealed products, you know, like the booster boxes themselves. I mean, as more and more get open, who knows? Maybe people start to think of this idea and they start getting them graded for the Diamond and Pearl era. But if you also think about it, like, you literally could have made this exact same argument before COVID, and it would be proven right. Obviously, we're at the back end of COVID, but at the very beginning of COVID, I remember you can go online, right, and you could get a first edition Charmander for $50 PSA 10, which now it's like $400 or $500 for a first edition Charmander. I'm actually kind of curious. How much is a first edition Charmander? First edition Charmander PSA 10, right? So if we're looking first edition Charmander PSA 10, so the last sold, right? Okay. So the last sold PSA 10 first edition Charmander sold. Okay, so I'm actually off. It's worth way more. Holy shit. So last sold right now, so there's two. So it depends how you want to look at it. So if, oopsie, sorry about that. Wrong one. Okay, so sorry, give me a second, guys. Okay, so last one, if you can see. Can't see, I mean, you should be able to see, but if you can't see, last one sold on a 1-bid. This isn't obviously PWCC. People are like speculative saying that it's been shill bidded, right? But let's just say it's not. The last one sold for $1,000, and then in this one, $2,000. You can average it out yourself, but if you want to go all the way back, I can't actually see it right now. I can't go all the way back because you know, eBay won't let you go go back that far. But if you just think about it, back in, I want to say June, you could buy those same exact cards for $50. And about 2 months ago, you could buy it for $400. Now it's $1,000. That's how insane these price spikes are. So what I'm saying is, you're starting to see higher population reports because people are getting these cards graded. but they're still going up in value. So I'm saying, what do you think is going to happen? And obviously, huge factor here, nostalgic plays a huge role. Cars that are more nostalgic are going to be worth more value. I've talked about this in one of my breakdowns on how to determine what cars are worth what. So when it comes to base set first edition, that's very nostalgic because base set and first edition is very nostalgic for a lot of people. However, you also have to consider too that although when Pokemon first came out, there was a large amount of people that got into the hobby because of the hype. People like myself and in my age range, like give or take a couple of years, they also thought the Diamond and Pearl era was very, very nostalgic. And so for that reason, people are still going to want to pay these prices. Not to mention you're topping that you're putting that on top of the low population report. I don't know, man. I'm just saying it's something to consider. It's something to definitely look into because that's just kind of where we are right now. And who knows, maybe I might do that myself. Maybe I might go look up, see one of the Diamond and Pearl booster boxes and say, this is the one I want to buy, this is the one I want to do it, and just do it as an experiment. If I have the money, obviously, I'll do it. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get big enough to be able to do something like that because that would be an experiment, to say the least. So, because I forgot what the name of the guy is, but he's this UK streamer. I've watched him a couple of times. Randolph. Yeah, he did like an experiment where he like breaks down the value of the boxes, right? But he gives rough estimates. So I'm saying to myself, right, what if I did a full video where I did a breakdown where I bought this box for this much and I got every single card graded, right? And I did a full breakdown, and then I went and I saw the population reports and I did a statistical breakdown from a data perspective on a spreadsheet. I think it would be an interesting experiment to look at. So, and this is something obviously you would have the liquidity to do it because this is just a hyper experiment. Also, we've been going for over an hour now, man, and I still haven't pulled that Sobble. I'm about ready to start doing the Crown Tundra and just coming back to this because I just hate my life, apparently. And this Sobble just hates my life, too. Hannah, are you still there, girl? I need some shiny luck in the chat if you are because I am just hating my life. So, but I don't know, something to think about for sure. And so, and that's kind of the thing that I think is really cool about Pokemon specifically, because obviously I'm a collector at heart, but I think it's really cool to kind of think about that kind of stuff. Where, yeah, I mean, because and I've mentioned this before, but this market, it's like the Pokemon market. Pokemon USA. Sorry, off topic. The Pokemon, like Pokemon cards, Pokemon games, it's a market. It is a market that has cycles. It has ups, it has downs. And not to mention the fact of the matter, it has rarity based on print runs, and it has rarity based on overall age of the cards. We're in the early stages of Pokemon, if you really think about it. It's about to turn 25 years old. That's very young compared to a lot of other things like the sports cards. So if you really, really think about it, it's one of these things where, in the grand scheme of things, we're going to have another boom like this. Now, I don't know how hard the crash is going to be, because this bubble could be big. Like, this could be like, you look at these card prices retraced all the way down to what their yearly like high was like a year ago, which could be very, very low. I don't know if that is for sealed product or individual cards, but we're definitely in a bubble. And when that bubble is going to end and when it's going to pop, who knows, obviously. And maybe that's the time to do what I'm saying you should do when it's worth that much. But it's just one of these things where it's like we're in for a correction. We're ready for that correction to happen. Yeah, you're right, Glug. It's literally just up, up, up. So it's like, when's the down? Because you have to be realistic. And I keep hitting Pokemon Camp because I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, no. So it's just one of these things where you just kind of think about it. If you look at the historical market trend of cycles, and obviously I'm playing Pokemon right now, and this is kind of weird because I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's just something that I think it's still something that's important for a lot of people to understand. So if you do happen to watch this is interesting. So let's look at the psychology of a market. So if we look at the psychology of a market, and this is one of my favorite charts I like to reference, right? And let's go full view on this. So if you're looking at the psychology of the market, right? Every card, or every, hold on one second. Let me, whoopsie, gotta move this. Let me move my face. Actually, you know what? I'll just drag my face over it. Hold on a second. Where is my Logitech? Boom. Just like that. No, just kidding. Wait, where is it? Okay, there I am. Okay, cool. So, every single market, and this is just true for most things, this is where we are right now. We're in this area. I have no clue where we're going to end. Who knows? So, okay, so we're not in optimistic. This is the emotion optimism, right? This is where this rally is real. This is real. The Pokemon market is going up. I think that was the start of COVID. Belief, time to get fully invested. I think that was October. Thrill, I think you can make an argument we're at thrill, or you can make an argument we're in euphoria. The thing you have to understand within these market cycles is that you learn a lot about market cycle trends and analysis based on where we are in the grand scheme of things from a cultural perspective, like a pop cultural perspective. So what do I mean by that? Basically, when you start hearing people that have never collected Pokemon and they hear that you can make Pokemon or make money off of selling just pieces of cardboard, and they have no clue what the frick they're doing, and they're getting in this market to buy up Pokemon cards, to scout Pokemon cards, to invest in Pokemon cards, that's when you know the market's ready to correct itself. And we're at a point right now where you can't go to a Walmart. I talked about this today. I went to a Walmart yesterday at 10 o'clock. They had nothing. I was checking today, see if they restocked. They restocked. Guess what? They only had 3 boxes left because everything else sold out within the first 10 minutes of when they restocked earlier this morning. And I just did that as like kind of an experiment to kind of see for myself. When you're in the phase where that's what's happening, when you're in the phase where all you hear is people making a shit ton of money off of Pokemon, let's all get in Pokemon, yeah. You can make that argument. Thrill. I will buy more. Gotta tell everyone to buy. You can say we're in that market right now. Or you can say we're in the euphoria market where everyone's told everyone and we're about to crash. But I'm just saying, what's going to happen is we're going to go all the way up to this area and we're going to go all the way down to capitulation prices. Now, obviously, this right here specifically, and this isn't obviously guaranteed 100%. We don't know if we're going to ever get that full retrace, because it will over time break all-time highs of what its prior prices are. That's just kind of how it is. But when you're just looking at this kind of stuff, it's just something to consider, the fact of the matter that you will, in the long term, see the price of these products begin to absolutely just drop. And the more volatile the market is, by volatility, I mean the faster it goes up, the faster it's going to come down when it does come down. And what's crazy too is a lot of people are going to get washed out of this market real quick. Scalpers are going to die out, and people that are true Pokemon fans are going to love it. And it is going to be an opportunity, because what's going to most likely happen, and this is typically how it goes in a lot of market cycles, is the price will go down, let's say one day 20%, right? Let's say hypothetically, right? First edition Charizard, let's say it sold last for $360. Let's say it goes up to $500,000. That's how much it sells for last, right? Now let's say that all of a sudden someone buys it for $400,000. That would be, first off, that would break the news. Like, people will be, oh my god, it sold for $100,000 last, right? What you'll then see is you'll see people you'll see across the board prices are going to start to drop. And people will be like, now's the time to get in, now's the time to buy, we're at a dip, right? Like, the prices are down. What'll then in turn happen is people will buy up, it'll slightly go up because it's a quote-unquote dead cat bounce for anyone who knows trading terms, and then it'll continue to go down. And then it'll go down to 300,000. And then 200,000. And then 100,000.
typically what you see on market cycles is you see the all-time high of prior markets will become the new low for current markets. So for example, Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, just to kind of give an example for people who like might want to just understand markets. I'm very familiar with the crypto market. I'm familiar with the stock market. I've been investing since I was a little kid. So that's kind of how I know a lot of the stuff. Bitcoin, its all-time high back in 2014 was around $1,000. Right? That was insane. That was crazy. Like people were like, "Oh my God, it goes down to $1,000." Actually, sorry, that's a lie. It was $1,800, right? It was $1,800. The next market cycle, the price of Bitcoin went all the way up to $20,000. So that's insane. Like we're talking, obviously 10x gains. Like it was insane how much you could have possibly made off of it. With that being said, when Bitcoin retraced, it went all the way down to a low of like 2,500, and it almost hit around that price range. And so what typically happens is the value of the cryptocurrency, or sorry, the stock, the crypto, the Pokemon, whatever it is in the market, it will typically go down to its prior all-time high. And this is just based off of my historical, like, what I've learned over the past 5 years. I could be completely wrong. It could be completely different for certain markets. But for what I know, the market that I've seen, prior all-time high for Litecoin, $20. The all-time low for Litecoin in the next market cycle was $20. So it typically retests its all-time highs from its previous market cycle as a form of psychological support. I won't get into that. It's a lot to talk about. But what the point I am making is if it follows a very similar trend, because it has a very similar amount of volatility compared to crypto, you could see the retrace of this bubble go down to the fact of the matter, you could see the value. And you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but you could see the value of a lot of these level X cards go back down, like the ones that are PSA 10 going for $1,000 to $1,000. You could see the ones going for $1,000 go all the way back down to $100, $50, purely just because of that. Glugs, it's an interesting question to ask yourself. Ooh, that's a perfect IV. I bought a little Dogecoin. So I'll explain that to you. Actually, I can get into that too. So here's something that's interesting about that. So as far as it goes with small businesses, I can't tell you. I obviously started my business back in October. I've been doing really well. I've been doing really well because the demand is so high. And for that reason, I've been able to sell my products like this. There were businesses that had Evolution boxes that they were selling for $100 and people wouldn't buy them because the demand was so low. So then you have to ask yourself, if you start to see the price of these products go down so drastically, you also have to say to yourself that the demand is no longer there for these products. If the demand is no longer there, then more or less you're going to start to see it be a lot harder for these small businesses to survive. Could be wrong. It could be a phase in which a lot of people are able to get product for a lot cheaper, and it could be good for the market. I could be 100% wrong. Because what will typically happen is when there's times in which the market is down, a lot of distributors will lower their prices because they're not able to get as much supply out there. And just like when it's in times of great, bull market, everything's going up. It's one of these things where the price of distributors charging retailers will increase. Obviously, that depends upon if you're a newer client, if you have a history. There's so many different factors, but that's kind of just one way to look at it. And so Glugs, one thing I wanted to say based on what you're saying with Dogecoin. So one thing I would say is be very careful of that. So obviously, it's very hectic what's been going on in the market right now with the GME and with the AMC and with the Dogecoin. So the one thing I would say to be scared of with Dogecoin, because I'm a big believer in cryptocurrency. Like I am a big fan. I myself invest in cryptocurrency. And so I'm a huge believer of it. So what I'm about to say, don't take this for I hate crypto. Dogecoin is a terrible form of investment. And the reason it pumped was because it was a meme. And the reason why it's a terrible investment is because it is an illegitimate cryptocurrency. Yes, you can say it's illegitimate because it's an exact form of Bitcoin and it still works on the blockchain. But what I mean by it's an illegitimate form of Bitcoin, or sorry, cryptocurrency, is when it comes to markets, when we look at Pokemon cards, for example, we look at population, right? And if there's less of a Pokemon card of a population long term, as the demand increases, since there's such a low population and supply, the value will skyrocket a lot more, right? Dogecoin has an infinite supply because it's a meme coin. The concept of it was not to be a project other than it's a meme. It was just making fun of Bitcoin as a joke. So when it comes to Dogecoin, these people are like Dogecoin to $1, Dogecoin to $10, $100. That's never going to happen because you have an infinite supply of Dogecoin. It's one of these things where it's like, what happens if the demand skyrockets so much, but they can just keep printing off the actual value of the currency itself? It's like you have to understand that in a market of supply and demand, you have to be able to have supply to outreach the demand. Now, like I said before, I could be completely wrong, and all of a sudden the demand becomes so great for Dogecoin that people are like, let's all start doing it. Let's all start just getting in on it. But when it comes to the circulating supply of Doge, here, I'll show the display capture for people to see. So with Dogecoin, yes, it has a circulating supply of 128, but that's not the max supply. The max supply is the amount that can be created. The circulating supply is what's in the market. So yes, you can say to yourself, yes, right now it's worth 100 and there's 128 billion. And so you're saying that's the set supply. But at any point, looking at the max supply, it's infinite. This means it's infinite. At any point, someone could come in, the creator who forked Dogecoin could come in and they could just skyrocket it. There's no one that's stopping its overall supply. Versus if we take a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, for example, obviously, the institutional, Bitcoin has a current circulating supply of 18 million, but it has a total max supply of 21 million. So what that means is that as it stands right now, Bitcoin can have no more circulate into the market than roughly about 2.5 million circulating supply wise. And that's purely because of how Bitcoin was created. Most of your real investments are long-term 401ks, and that's not bad. I mean, the regular everyday average, like a Dave Ramsey type, for example, will tell you invest in 401ks, invest in Roth IRAs if you're young. And to like most general people that are terrible with money, I would say go for it. It's safe. Long term, when you're 60, 70 years old, you'll have a good nest egg. In my personal opinion, I think it's terrible investing. But the reason why I say that it's terrible investing, and maybe it sounds like it's pretty harsh, but because the biggest issue with people nowadays, and I tell my friends this all the time when I try and talk to them about just investing and stuff, is that a lot of the times, especially in America, people are very scared to make risks because risks and fear specifically is what drives people. Fear is a huge factor in motivation in a lot of people's lives. And for that reason, it is a huge deterrent in investing. So for that reason, a lot of people are very fearful of just investing in general because they're uneducated on what it is. Now, the wealthiest people in the world, what they'll tell you is they took those risks and they took fear and it motivated them in a way to create more wealth. They said, screw that, I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to keep making money because I'm going to take risk and I'm going to take chances, and it drives. And one of my favorite quotes from the writer of Rich Dad Poor Dad is, don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning. Because so many times people spend their life being very afraid of not making any sort of leap of faith, whether it be in their personal life, whether it be in their financial life, whether it be in their like marital or relationship life with their spouse, whatever that looks like. Like, people are so fearful. And that's one of the reasons why too, as well, people are so self-indulged with a lot of aspects of life that include, basically just not involving themselves in knowledge and learning. They want to just sit there, do what they're told, and just not have to think about anything because they're so afraid of reality. When in reality, what you should be doing is you should be learning about the hard things in life, and you should be able to look at it and control it yourself. People are so afraid to talk about money because they're the stress that comes with it. But when you learn about money and you learn to like have money work for you and you control money and not it control you, it is something that is life changing, 100%. And so a lot of the times what'll happen is you'll start to see people specifically, and this is an actual statistic in America, the average age that someone opens a retirement account is 40 years old. And it's because people don't think. They don't spend their money on investing. They don't spend their money on saving. They spend their money on the leisures of this life because they don't want to have to think about it. So here's the thing about that, Glugs. Yes, compound interest does make a difference. But if we're talking 401ks, unless you're talking about an initial investing account, and let me explain to you too, because like I said before, what you're doing is not bad. I don't want to, and obviously I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying this from my perspective, right? What you're doing is not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It's safe. You still make good money over long-term periods. But what I am saying is the risk in which you're taking is very minimal, because what you're doing is you're accumulating wealth over a long period of time. So like, for example, right? I'm 22 years old. If I were to start investing $100 a month, right? Actually like $500. Let's say $500 a month, right? Which some people that's unrealistic, some people that's realistic. But let's just say for my sake, right? $500 a month because I'm living on a rice and beans diet. Like literally that's all I eat, and I'm just super duper much just investing. I will end up with a 1% compound interest, roughly around $250,000 to $300,000 over the span of my lifetime up until I hit retirement age. That's great. That's great. But 1% compound, and a lot of these 401ks, you'll be able to get 2%. And hell, if you're lucky, you'll be able to get 7%. Don't know where you'll find that, because most of the times the only time you're really going to be able to get 7% if we're talking initial retirement accounts and you do have a financial advisor investing in a lot of stocks or projects that they believe in that's going to make growth long term. Because historically speaking, the biggest gain of wealth starts in the stock market, where the average investment has a 7.5% return year over year. And that is something that will continuously grow as the market cap increases of the projects that you're invested in, depending upon what you're invested in. Now, what you also have to say to yourself is you can make way more than what you would typically make investing specifically in a lot of these retirement accounts that only give you 2, 3, 4%. You could easily make 7+% when it comes to it. Obviously you're taking more risk, but you're able to, and obviously I don't know how old you are, Glugs, but I'm saying from my perspective, and here's the deal. If I was, say I'm 50 years old, right? 60 years old, I myself would begin to invest in a lot more passive means of investing. Because the thing is I would be a lot older, so I wouldn't want to take as much risk, but I'm younger, so I'm able to take a lot more risk. Not to mention the fact of the matter, if I have the liquidity myself, I'm not going to be forfeited funds if, let's say, I retire within the next 10 years, right? So hypothetically speaking, if I were to accumulate within the next 10 years over $1 million, right? And this is obviously hypothetical. You're saying to yourself that you can be able to retire because you have that money that you're able to withdraw from your own investment account that doesn't require you to go through a 401k or an IRA to be able to have that tax penalty that will take 50% of your funds. That's where I'm really coming down to, because these 401ks and these retirement IRAs and Roth IRAs, they're great because you can, depending upon if it's done right, you can make good returns on it, but that's returns you won't see until you're 60, 70 years old. And if you want to withdraw from it when you're earlier, you're going to be taking huge discounts on it. And yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's great, Glugs, but also you have to say to yourself, so, and I could be wrong, you say, okay, so you've gotten capital gains that have gained you 10 to 12% for the past 5 years. Is that 10 to 12% annually? Is that accumulatively over a 5-year span, 10 to 12%? Because if it's 10 to 12% accumulatively, like year over year, like you're getting 10% to 12% each year, then that's great. That's good. That's good money. Now, if you're saying to yourself, you're getting, 2% each year, and it after a 5-year span it's 10% because you're combining it, then that's not good at all. But let's say, just for the sake of the argument, right, let's say that you are getting 10 to 12% each year. That's great. That's still really good money. My point that I'm making is, for me personally at least, as someone who's very frugal with my funds, and like as someone who's very much so in the market analysis, if I were to have that 10% to 12% year over year, right? Let's say I have 1,000, or let's say in the next 2 years I have $100,000, right? And let's say, just for the sake of the argument, let's say compounding 10% year over year, right? So if I'm compounding, Glugs, 10% year over year, and let's say over the next, and this happens over the next, let's say it happens over the next 10 years, right? So I'm going to make around 150, 200,000, right? Off of my initial 100,000 in the next 10 years. That's great. I'll be at 300,000. Not to mention the fact of the matter, I'll have outside funds that I'll continue to increasingly invest with. Now let me ask you this. Would you rather be able to, if you had the money, right? Let's say that in this situation, you have your own home, it's paid off, and right now you're just trying to build up that nest egg to retire. Would you rather have your money right now, or 10 years down the line, right? Would you rather have that money 10 years down the line to be able to pull out and retire? Or would you rather have to continuously work, or end up withdrawing early and getting a huge tax penalty for withdrawing early? Because that's the thing, is depending upon how early you withdraw from a lot of these accounts, you will get taxed on it, and you will get taxed heavily based on the penalty. I know that one of my old teachers, who actually is retired, but he was working as a teacher part-time just because he wanted to, not just live I'm an old guy golfing with all my life and I'm just waiting to die, basically. He loved to teach. He was able to retire at 40 years old because of the amount of money he had saved up and accumulated time over time. And when he started withdrawing, I asked him too. I said straight up, are you able to withdraw your funds? He said, yes, you're able to withdraw your funds. However, you're getting penalized the earlier you withdraw. And I can't give you the exact numbers. I can look them up later, or we can and this is something I can look into a little bit more, and I can come back with it. But typically speaking, you can lose up to 50% if you return, or if you retire early. You know what I mean? And that's kind of just what I'm saying as far as it goes. And I could look it up. I mean, what's the earliest you can pull out of your 401k? So here it is. So it says right here, this is just what it says. So it says, oh, you can't see. It says the age of 59 and a half distribution rule says any 401k participant may begin to withdraw money from his or her plan after reaching this age without having to pay it. So early 401k options. So let's look at it. So here's another one. It says the rule of 55. There are 3 points, and this is a rule because I think my teacher's he was in his early 50s, right? So when looking at this, you have to say to yourself, I want to look in something more in depth. Okay, what is the rule of 55? Here we go. Let's look at this concept, because I've heard this concept talked about before. So 59.5, right? It says there are a few exceptions. However, one could be the rule of 55 is an IRS provision that allows you to withdraw funds from 401k or 401k without penalty at the age of 55 or older, right? The rule kicks in for age 50 is when the penalty fee distribution. So let's say, now let's look at this. If I'm 30, can I pull out from my 401k. Right, let's say if I'm 30. You cannot take a cash 401k withdrawal where you're currently working for an employer that sponsors a 401k. Blah, blah. Or you can say, what's the earliest... Crap. What's the earliest I can retire my 401k? Yeah, I keep saying the same thing. Cash withdrawal while it's still working. I mean, there could be bylaws, but it's saying that you can get to yourself where you would start to have 10%. I've been told. I mean, you could say, what's the max? What's the max 401k penalty? You could say that. As of 2019, the maximum is $19,000 each year. If you exceed this limit, excess contribution, the penalty for excessive. But that's if you're wanting to pull out more. 10% early. What is over contribution? See, and I can look into this. I can look into this more, Glugs. But yeah, no, it's one of these things where it's one of these things where it's like. And it's funny too, because that's talking about if you're in your 50s, you get 10%. So I'll be interested to see if you're in your 20s or 30s. I want to look into that. Oh, no, I 100% agree with you, Glugs. I mean, for example, if you have an employer that has a matching 401k, you're stupid if you don't invest into it, because that's free money. Like that, there is nothing wrong. And like I said before, I don't want it to come off. And first off, I hope this doesn't come off arrogantly. And then second off, I hope this doesn't make it seem like what you're doing is wrong. Because like I said many times before, it's very, like, what you're doing, economically speaking, it's the fact that you're just investing to begin with is very smart. And you're ahead of the curve and you're smarter than the majority of Americans. Because like I said before, on average, an American doesn't open a retirement account until they're 40. So what you're doing is smart. What you're doing is great. I'm just saying that from a risk to reward ratio perspective, you can make so much more money going the other route. It's always nice to have that extra money. I guess for me personally, the reason why I say the way that I say it, and here's the deal, I'm 22 years old. In the grand scheme of things, I know nothing. Sure, I can say to myself, I've been studying financial analysis since I was 12 years old, and I've read countless financial books of various individuals that are very wealthy, and so I've learned and gained wisdom from them, but at the same exact time, I know nothing in the grand scheme of things. And so this is just obviously my personal opinion. Each person has their own personal opinion. Who's to say I'm right? Who's to say I'm wrong? So when it comes to this, I just want to say that first and foremost. And like I said before, what I'm truly ultimately getting at the end of the day and in the grand scheme of things is when it comes to it from a business perspective and like a year over year return growth, being able to take out that money early if I want to retire early is huge. Because the thing is I myself would like to retire. And when I say retire, I mean retire in the aspect of I can go live my dream job. And whether this is my dream job that I'm pursuing now or whether it be something down the line, but I can pursue my dream job like debt-free, not having to worry about anything, and I'm going to have the funds to do it. Rather than I'm going to have to continuously work, I have a ton of money saved up, but I won't be able to start withdrawing from it until I'm whatever age I'm at, and it's going to cost me a penalty fee in order to do it. That's the reason why. Because if I'm able to, by 35, if I have the funds, Lord willing, I would love to be able to take out the funds to passively live on it and then just have a part-time gig, and basically all that extra money is going to go towards investments or just any sort of luxuries because I have the money to retire early and I'm able to go live my life pursuing my passions. That's what I mean by that. Versus with the whole initial idea of the 59 and a half age, that's the age that they're expecting the majority of Americans to retire at. And once you hit that age and you start withdrawing from it, it's one of these things where if you're any younger and you have the liquidity to do it based off of the nest egg that you've created for yourself in your 401k, you're not going to be able to start doing that without taking a penalty. And that's kind of it. That's just kind of it. And maybe you can say to yourself, you've made so much accumulatively over time that 10% isn't going to cause a dent. Then great, that's awesome. I mean, that's especially for someone who, if you're getting 401k matches with a 5 to 10% off of your paycheck, then that's awesome. That's great. So that's obviously an alternative option, you know. So I'm just saying from my perspective, obviously, long term, it's one of these things where I like to think about if I were to retire early, where would I be able to get my money now rather than having to wait until I was 59 and a half. So that's just what I mean, Glugs, you know. So because like I said before, going back to it, what you're doing is very smart. What you're doing is, and I mean, it doesn't take a genius, so I'm just saying general advice that anyone who's an investor would tell you. What you're doing is very smart. You're being smart with your money. You're investing early. I mean, obviously, like I said before, I don't know how old you are, but the fact that you're investing in general is just smart. Most people aren't doing that, and having that nest egg saved up early on is very, very smart. So, because that's something that the majority of Americans aren't doing. And so that's why I think it's kind of funny how we got here because of Pokemon. It's kind of random. I mean, it's something to talk about specifically too. Because I mean, Pokemon market is a market, and that can be deemed as a form of investment. But yeah, no, it's just something to definitely think about as far as it goes. Just both sides, both what you're saying and what I'm saying, obviously. You know, and like you were saying too, I think it's good to do a little bit of both. So, because hypothetically speaking, let's say that you do end up having the money, right? But you're terrible with money. Having that money locked up, and I think that's the reason why a lot of people have to consider this, is going back to my aspect of fear. If you have your money locked up and you aren't able to touch it without losing that 10%, a lot of Americans are very fearful of losing money. And so there's that perspective of losing money that motivates people to keep their money in. And for that reason, you're going to be able to get people to stay in rather than withdraw their money. Because let's say today I invest $100,000, and let's say next year I get really scared because, you know, I want my money now and I want to spend it, and I don't want to have it sitting in an account, right? And maybe it's fear of the market, or maybe it's just because I'm greedy and I'm bad with money. Well, having that money locked in could be good for a lot of people, you know? But obviously, you know, that's just the general population of the market who would much rather, you know, not do their research, or they would have a financial advisor take care of their money for them. Hey, Daniel, how's it going, brother? It hasn't been that long, has it? I don't think like it's been that long. You're in college right now, just trying to keep as many doors option. No, and that's great, and that's honestly great, Glugs. I mean, the fact that you're in college and you're doing all this is awesome. I mean, and congrats to you, seriously. Like, I say that with full sincerity. Like, if you're in college and you're doing this right now, like, that is awesome, dude. And a lot of the personal financial analysts and advisors that I listen to would say the same exact thing, because straight up, if they hear a 22-year-old or a 20-year-old or however old you are say that they're investing their money in a 401k at your age, and I don't know what your debt to income ratio is, but regardless of that, the fact that you're still investing, they would be like, round of applause, dude. You're doing a great job. Feels like a long time? Okay, Daniel, how long do you think it's been? That's a great question. How long has it been? How you been, though? What you been up to? Feels like a long time. That's a great question. Yeah, I don't know how long it's been. Could you give me a breakdown maybe of your investments? Are you spread out, like as much percentage crypto indexes, if you don't mind? Okay, yeah, I can give you that. I'll be transparent about it. Okay, so here's the deal. And so this is where you're gonna think I'm just a sham. Okay, so here's what I did. I want to say about a year ago, so prior to COVID, pre-COVID, I had money in commodities. I had about, let me think about this. So pre-COVID, I had about 20% in commodities, meaning gold and silver and other things. I had about 30% in the stock market. And then I had about 50% in crypto. That was about a year ago. Okay. Then starting the year of when COVID happened and the whole market tanked. I then took all my money, or what did I do with crypto? I dropped that crypto percentage down to 20%, and then I increased my stock market percentage. So let me think, 20% silver, 20% crypto, and then 60% in the stock market. Then when the stock market boomed up again, because what I did was I took all my money out of crypto except for a small 20%. I put it into the stock market because the stock market absolutely crashed, right? And I was able to buy in a lot of these stocks for dirt cheap because the market crashed. Everyone was fearful, said it was going to continue to go down because of COVID. I invested near the bottom. I doubled, tripled my money depending upon which stocks I invested in. And then what I did is I sold all my stocks about 3 months ago. And now I have about 5% in the stock market. And I would say it's funny too, because now if we're looking at it from a percentage perspective, it's no longer 20% in silver. It's now more like 8% because of the amount of money that I accumulated from my investment in the stock market that I made and then transferred it over to crypto. And then through that, I've made already 60% off of crypto since I invested in that a couple months ago. So it's like, to give you the breakdown now, and this is where the fluctuation changes because what competing asset is doing better. Well, actually, silver's gone up since I bought it. So I would say, you could say, I still think 8 or 9% safe. So you could say 8 to 9% roughly in commodities such as silver, gold. Price of stocks, about a 3-4% maybe. And then I'm at a point now where it's like 78% crypto, 80% crypto. And the reason why I did that is purely because a lot of the stocks that I was invested in, I felt like it was a good time to sell. One of them specifically, Boeing. I got in. My average position was 155. I sold at 240, and the price is now down at 200. It went all the way up to 260, 270. So I didn't sell at the top, but I could buy back lower if I realistically wanted to. So yeah, no, it's one of these things where it's like I move my money around to where I think it can make me money. And right now, as someone who follows the crypto market very frequently, I think it's got a chance. Sorry about that. So Daniel, it feels like it's been 2 months. Dude, it's so funny too, Daniel. I feel like it has been that long. Maybe now thinking about it. Not to mention the fact of the matter, it's funny too because when I just think of you, I think in my head, oh my God, Daniel, oh my God, Daniel, you pulled it, Daniel. And it's just so funny just thinking about it. But yeah, no, dude, you've just been working the past 2 months. Well, hey man, at least you're making money, dude. A lot of people are not able to because of obviously what's going on with COVID. So it's like, that's cool. Thanks for stopping by, by the way. It's great to see you, man. It's been so long. My goodness gracious. So, if you don't know already, Daniel, so if you follow us on Instagram, we put a new schedule for what I'm going to start doing. Because before it was kind of like a random breaker stream that you bought into. But basically how I'm going to do it now is it's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays at noon. I'm going to start streaming. So Mondays, I do opening days. So I open my packs, and if people buy into the breaker, I can open packs for them on Mondays. Wednesdays, I stream playthroughs, and then Fridays, I do breakdowns. However, this Friday, I'm actually going to do it at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time instead of noon because I'm going to have a special guest. His name's Jake from Pokenomics, if anyone's heard of him. He's a YouTuber who's got like 4,000 subscribers or something like that, and so we're going to have him on the channel and kind of talk with him and stuff for a couple hours. And he's Eastern time. So that'd be cool to like kind of view for a lot of people. When you're talking stock market, you're talking about specific stocks or just stocks in general, like index fund. Great question. I should have probably answered that. Okay, so of my stock investments, when I was investing 20% in silver and gold and other commodities, and I was investing 20% in crypto and 60% in stock market, 30% of that was individual stocks, and 30% of that was a mutual fund. Yeah, it was an index mutual fund of primarily aggressive stocks. So like I did a lot of tech stocks. I specifically did a lot of a lot of large cap stocks. I did a small percentage of small cap stocks, but specifically the ones that I was invested in, they were considered to be aggressive, but also at the same time still gave me, at the end of the day, before COVID happened, it was about a 7.5-8% year-over-year return. Now, when COVID happened and it crashed, and I just threw a shit ton of money into it because I was like, this is the time to get into it. Obviously, that percentage went up a lot more. And that's the thing too. Like, obviously, no one could have predicted what was going to happen with COVID. So you can say I got lucky. You can say I played the market right. However you want to look at it. But yeah, no, with that index fund, I put 50% of that into an index fund and 50% into individual stocks I believed in. So the two specifically I believed in were Boeing and Disney. I thought Boeing because I saw that with all the news going on with Boeing, that it was going to at some point bounce, because I felt as if it was highly undervalued once it hit all the way down to $80. And I got in at 115, but then I continuously increased my shares all the way up to about 155. And like I said before, I sold at like 240, 230. And so the price of Boeing has gone down more. And obviously, who's to say it's undervalued, overvalued, especially with everything going on with COVID. But long term, my concept was things are going to have to eventually start opening up, and people are going to want to start, going and flying again. And so as far as it goes, that was kind of my rationale behind investing in Boeing. Not to mention, historically speaking, I won't get into it. Anyway, second one I invested in, I was a huge believer of, Disney. Disney was one I believed in purely because Disney, you were able to buy it at $100, which is when I did. And on top of that, not only did all of the theme parks stop, which is what caused Disney to drop so drastically, but also you were able to still generate an increase of revenue based on the fact that they were expanding their streaming programs. So like when Mulan came out, when they announced all the Marvel stuff coming out, like it was where it dropped, and I said to myself, if they're coming out with streaming, that's going to be huge over COVID. So like Netflix would have been a huge one to invest in. Amazon would have been a good one to invest in, because like a lot of these stocks that had to do with like, people are locked up. But then the thing that I loved about Disney, it was as a hybrid. And so the value of Disney went up 50% of when I had invested in it. But then accumulatively with the other mutual fund. So I was able to make a lot of money off of that. Yeah, no, I agree with you about that one, Daniel. I mean, obviously I'm not invested in Disney right now because I invested a large amount of my money in crypto, but I 100% agree with you, Disney. I 100% agree with you, Daniel. Yeah, no, Disney is ridiculous. I love Disney. Not to mention the fact of the matter, you're talking about a corporation that not only has theme parks, but is going into streaming, is in merchandise, and who's to say they can't go into the tech industry? I mean, you look at Amazon, for example. Amazon is kind of doing it all as far as it goes, and their market cap's over $1 trillion. Disney's, I think, when I got into it, was over $200 billion. It's probably at about $300 to $400 billion. Bro, it's still got a lot of growth potential long term. And so, although, like I said before, I'm not invested in it right now because I move where the market moves, and I like to get the highest percentage return. It's still long term a really good investment from just an individual stocks perspective. And yeah, to answer you too, Glugs, yeah, people panicked, and that goes back to just my irrational fear. And so there's where you can make the argument where 401ks are good. But also, you also have to say to yourself, at what point did people start pulling out of their 401ks because they were fearful of if things were going to get closed up and they were going to have the money to provide for their family? And were they allowing people to pull out their 401ks without getting any sort of tax penalty? That would be something to look into. But yeah, no, dude, straight up, it's one of these things where, I don't know, it's just all fascinating. It's all something that's very interesting to kind of look into. And I'm very much fathomed by investing in general. And I think that for people that like it. Oh, what's up, I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I think big tech is Disney's next market ploy. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Because, to be honest with you, if we're just looking at what a lot of these other companies are doing, like Amazon, like Tesla, it's one of these things where they're emerging companies. Tesla was originally just PayPal, right? And then it transitioned into Tesla cars. And then it transitioned into SpaceX. It's constantly emerging and nothing defines it. You know what I mean? And so it's one of these things where when it comes down to it, same thing happened with Amazon. It was originally books, and then it came to Amazon products that you're able to buy online. Then it came to Amazon shipping, and then it came to Amazon selling. It's like they're able to evolve. So I 100% agree with you. I'm just going to call you Seth. Sorry, it's so hard to pronounce that. It's something where you're talking to yourself and saying, why can't Disney be the next person to do that? Glugs, Logan's just released $2 million on first edition boxes. Holy shit. I'm going to watch that video later. That's pretty sweet, dude. $2 million? Yeah, I saw the tweet where he said that this is his biggest purchase ever. $2 million on boxes? So here's the question. Is he breaking it? Or is he opening it for himself? And not to mention, you're thinking 2 million boxes. If we're saying each box is probably valued at around 400,000 each, he probably bought 5 of them, if I were to guess. I don't know if he got a deal or if he bought them for less. But he probably got 5 to 6. So that's crazy, dude. Yeah, man. What I would love to do personally, is I'd like to make a shit ton of money off of my investments. And also, another thing as well. Oh, another thing I should say, Glugs. If we're talking purely about like stocks, commodities, and cryptos, as far as what I'm invested in mutual funds, I'm not including my Pokemon card collection, which that is also going to retain value over time too. Because I mean, you got to think about it. Like my Hidden Fates boxes that I own, when I got them, they've already accumulated. I have a couple of them I got for $60 from my distributor off of the bundle I was listing on the website when it was available. They're now over $200. So it's like Pokemon right now is a good form of investment too, long term, obviously. That's one of the reasons why I started up this conversation to begin with, was talking about Pokemon as a market. So it's like Pokemon long term, it's huge. You think, Daniel? That would be interesting. I wonder, because the thing about PokeRev is because I watch PokeRev a lot. He all the time talks about basically how he doesn't want to sell his boxes because he hates the idea of letting go of his boxes. So if you think he listed them, you think people would have bought it? That was interesting. So Seth, to answer your question on that, first off, as I explained to Glugs, because Glugs asked me what I was invested in, without giving the amount of money I'm invested in, because I just don't want to disclose that information. So originally, I had invested 60% in stocks, split that halfway with individual stocks as well as mutual funds. I had about 20% in commodities and then 20% in crypto. Now, what I have is about, if we're looking at overall growth, I sold all my stocks. So I sold all my stocks and I turned it into instead crypto, because I believe that crypto, as far as it stands right now, I think we're in a bull market cycle. Hold on one second. I love to turn Pokemon into a business, even if it could only be a side source for income for me. Yeah, and obviously, Glugs, I know you had individually damned me about it, obviously, how to get into it. So here's one thing I will say for anyone before I start going back and answering Schlapp's question. It was like 3.5 million eBay listing. If it was 3.5, he would probably have gotten a small portion of it unless he bought all of it. But because I love collecting Pokemon in general. So here's the thing, Glugs. As it stands right now, 100%, I think it's going to be really tough for you. Purely because a lot, and I talked about this earlier. I got it. I was blessed. I got in the right time. And not to mention the fact of the matter, when I came in and I talked to my sales rep, he's now my sales rep, but he interviewed me. He was like, he literally straight up told me, we don't think you're going to be able to be one of our clients. And you have no sales history. You're an up and coming business. We have absolutely no expectation of you. And so for that reason, we don't want to accept you. I told the guy, I straight up literally told the guy, I said, give me 5 minutes and let me give you a pitch. I sold the guy and I got lucky because he accepted me. This was back in October. You were still able to get product back in October. Not to mention the fact of the matter, from October to now, I was able to build a sales base with my distributor to where they can now look at my sales history and say, I can get allocations for this amount. I'm able to, obviously, because I'm already a part of it, I'm able to get products in general. So it's one of these things where right now, if you do get accepted, if you go online, everything's sold out. And the only way typically to get product is when they do specials, or if you've been there for a while, they'll reach out to you and they'll give you an allocation because you're not guaranteed everything. So as far as it stands right now, Glugs, very, very hard. However, with that being said, within a year or so, you would probably be able to, nope, I don't want to take back my Pokemon. What the frick are you talking about? However, in a year or so, when the market calms down and they're going to start to see prices go down, I think that's your chance to get in. Of course, you can still try and get in right now. And obviously, I will help you. Whatever questions you have for me, like I will 100% help you with that. But it's just going to be super duper tough, purely because most distributors don't even have the product to accept new people. They're not accepting new people. If you do get accepted, there's no guarantee you're going to get product because you have to have a history, because a lot of places do it based off of prior sales allocation history or sales history on top of overall just history with them as a client. So it's tough. Sorry. So going back to answer your question, Seth, I don't think crypto became huge because of Robinhood. I think crypto became huge because of the technological advancements. And the thing you have to understand too about emerging markets, this goes back to the internet age. When the internet first came out, people were speculative. People said the internet was going to fail. It's not something that's going to happen, until the internet bubble happened, which the internet bubble, I myself was pretty young, so I've just done the research to know what happened. Basically, the .com bubble was a bunch of people started creating, web domains, browsers, and started to use them and sell long story short, without getting into the details, what happened was there was these stocks that had web domains that had zero product to offer, and people were just building websites, and people were investing in the stocks of these websites that had no actual product, and people ended up long-term realizing that it's worth nothing, and the .com bubble occurred, everything crashed. What you saw during that time was you saw these retail investors getting into the market. What retail investors is they're everyday Joes. They're just people that want to make money quick, or they just want to make money in general, and so they just put their money into it, right? Crashes. Retail investors get washed out. Institutional investors then realize, oh, look, the price of these stocks gone up. A lot of them don't offer any sort of actual physical product, but long term, we believe in the technology. So what they did is they washed out the market. They bought in at the low after the .com bubble happened. And then from it, you started to see a lot of emerging companies like eBay, like Facebook, like YouTube. And so the thing is, Seth, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, what you saw last year when crypto got up to 20,000 is you saw the emerging market that was in the retail stage, and you saw retailers, or once again everyday Joes, be like, I want to get in, I want to make money, and then crashed, went all the way down to 2,500, something like as low as that. And then a lot of these big institutional investors said, we see the technology for crypto, time to get in on it. Now you can say to yourself that Robinhood is going to be able to drive a lot of speculation in the crypto market. It's going to drive a lot of news into it. But to be honest with you, a lot of misconceptions, there's a misconception a lot of people have, that the news makes the market prices. That's wrong. The market prices makes the news because there's psychological and technical trends that happen. And I showed this earlier on the screen. I don't know if you were here for it, Seth, but basically I can show it again because I was kind of talking about this. So, whoopsie, gosh, I always do that on accident. Okay, so the psychological market, how it works is it comes in waves and it comes in stages. So when we first started off in the crypto market, when we're looking $2,500, this is where we are, and we're probably in the belief stage, if I were to guess. That's where I think we are. We're not even close to thrill, and we're not even close to euphoria. Not to mention the fact of the matter, we're talking institutional investors. Retail investors, huge difference. Because retails are, like I said, everyday Joes that have money. Retail investors don't have as much as institutional, have millions upon billions of dollars. And so when it comes to the overall crypto stage, the amount of money that can be made off of this is absurd. And the same argument could be said if you invested in Facebook when it was $2 a share. It's the same exact concept. The only difference is this is digital currency for the internet of banking. That's the one way to look at this. So that's just something to consider when talking about it from an overall market perspective. A lot of people like to say sell the news. It's already priced by the time it's the news. Yeah, 100%, Daniel. 100%. You want to always sell the news. I mean, a great example of that, to answer that question for you, Seth. A lot of people so here's what's interesting, right? Yay, it was nice seeing you, Glugs. Have a good one, brother. But yeah, no, I think Daniel brings up a good point because a lot of people, what's interesting is, don't get me wrong, the media plays a huge role in the manipulation of weak hands. But in reality, the weak hands are purely just a lot of just everyday Joes. So when you saw headline articles, right? GameStop Redditors are they're giving up. They're getting bored. Silver's the next big thing. What a lot of people don't know is that silver is highly manipulated. Not to mention the fact of the matter, GameStop at the time, first off, the technical analysis for what GameStop does, it's the same thing that it's always been. It's just a falling knife waiting to happen, and you just don't want to be left with the bag. And so basically what happened was it went up, 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 up. And what happened was the media, if you watched all the majority of the headlines, it was basically just what people call FUD, right? So there is an aspect of people saying to themselves, the media does play a role in people's fear from a retail's perspective. We're talking from an institutional perspective, which I feel like is a little bit different. Because from an institutional perspective, when you look at it, these guys are professionals and they do this as a career and they have a ton of money. When we're looking at GameStop, this was the everyday Joe investing their money. And so when it came to the fear of the market, it was an immature market of GameStop because it was not valued at what it should have been valued. And for that reason, the institutional investors that got in GameStop, they pulled out and it crashed down to its realistic price that it's at, and it's probably going to keep going down. Silver, the media say get in silver. Silver is one of the most manipulated markets. You are not going to mess with silver. Not to mention the fact of the matter, Wall Street bets, they said that don't invest in silver because that was something that the media wanted you to invest in because they can control it a lot easier, because it's a lot easier to manipulate more than the market is on stocks. And so what it comes down to it, literally, what ended up happening with silver is it went up $2, so not even 10%, and then it went down $4 the next day. So it's like nothing happened with silver, and the media was telling you invest in silver, but that's purely because what happened was a lot of these institutional investors that lost billions, and what we're talking about here with Robinhood and the whole billions of dollars that was lost, this is definitely, don't get me wrong, this is definitely, like, this is new to the market. However, still, with it being said, a lot of the media was trying to get a lot of people to wash out their hands saying, get out of GameStop, you're going to lose all your money, get into silver. The people that didn't get into silver, probably a very small amount of people. And then what ended up happening was the shorts continued to go up, and you started to see the people start to get fearful, lose their money in silver. It's one of these things where you're playing with fire at that point when it comes to markets that are manipulated like that, or markets that do have zero bounds to when it comes to technical analysis. And that's where, when it comes to crypto in the stage we're in right now, crypto is at a point where, specifically Bitcoin, it can still be manipulated. Don't get me wrong. Anything can be manipulated. We watched that with GameStop. But we're looking at institutional investors coming in, and it's not going to have the same effects in which GameStop would if the news were to come out, because the fact of the matter is the correlation of the prices themselves were already factored in based on what the technical analysis was saying. There was no way that GameStop was going to continue, realistically speaking, going up higher, higher, higher. And so the news said you should sell because they wanted to make people afraid. It was already priced in that it was going to go down. The news just added to it. That's all it kind of happened. My buddy works for a company that trades refined silver and other precious metals, and he's been having a field day of late. I'm interested if he trades it from a long perspective, short, or just goes and plays both sides. Because for the last couple of years, it's been very profitable to short silver. Silver has gone up a little bit recently, so maybe he plays both sides. So that's definitely interesting. And it sounds like he doesn't. And it sounds like if he trades precious metals, but you said he refined silver. That's interesting. I'll be interested to see what your response is to that, because I'm curious if when you say he refined silver, what that looks like. Daniel, same thing. What they did with Dogecoin, unlimited market cap potential becomes of unlimited mining. Not enough people in the world to push it. Yeah, dude. Literally, Dogecoin was the biggest sham ever. I literally was telling Glugs this. He does a little bit of both. Yeah, because you can obviously refine silver and invest in the actual currency of silver itself. As like hold on one second. So like, you can obviously just invest in just pure silver, right? Like, this isn't much. This is only 10 ounces of silver, right? So you can invest in pure silver, or you can obviously trade it off the market with futures. So that's why I was saying it's interesting. I love silver though. I think it's fun to trade, or I think it's fun to collect too. But to go back to what Daniel was saying, yeah, no, it was inevitable. I was telling Glugs that exact same thing that you just said. There's absolutely no... Oh, I'm going to move the silver away. Let's not damage things. There's absolutely no circulating supply of... or not circulating, sorry. Max supply. And that's something I was showing to Glugs. Here, let's look at the display capture. So going to... Let's go to coin market cap. Right? We go to Dogecoin. Right? So when it comes to Pokemon, or when it comes to a market in general, you have supply side and you have the demand side, right? Now in Dogecoin, the circulating supply is 128 billion. However, the max supply is infinite. If you can continuously increase the max supply up, it's never going to go to $1 because they can just keep printing more Dogecoin. It was to die at the end, no matter what. Elizabeth, people bring them old appliances and such and then strip them down. See, that's exactly what I thought when you said refine. That, I have a feeling, is very profitable. Because if you can just break down, not to mention the fact of the matter, I mean, does he run it out of like his garage, or does he own like a business that does it? Because honestly, you could make a ton of money if people are just desperate trying to sell their old silver products. But yeah, no, Dogecoin was I mean, Dogecoin's a meme. Dogecoin is straight up a meme. It doesn't follow the supply and demand. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, that's literally one of the reasons why we have inflation. Like, when it comes to the overall inflation of the United States currency, it's like, inflation's a thing because over time, as we continue to print more money, or prices continue to go up, the value of the dollar is not going to be valued as much. Well, oh no, I'm not saying it's not a legit operation, Seth. That's not at all. But I'm saying that some people literally will just run it out of their garage because of what's going on with they're running out of a warehouse. Yeah. Well, because it's COVID. That's why. That's why I asked that. Because, you know, some people would run out of a garage or run out of a warehouse because it's obviously more affordable because of renting prices. And yeah. But that's sweet, though. That's a sweet gig to have. I think that'd actually be cool. I definitely want to learn to refine silver myself. But yeah, no. So it's like, so when it comes down to it, yeah, Doge was just failed. It was just going to die to begin with. Because you have to have this, you have to have a circulating supply. It's kind of like with, like going back to with the dollar. You know, having $100 today is going to be worth a lot more than having $100 10 years from now, purely because of inflationary rates, as well as the continuous printing of the dollar, and just other factors without getting into it. Whereas Bitcoin, like you're talking about, Daniel, it has a limited supply. And for that reason, once that limited supply has been completely mined up, and then what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing you're going to start seeing it just continue to go up and up. And not, I mean, eventually it'll go down because obviously it's still a market and it can still trade down no matter what, depending upon if there's less demand than there is for the supply. But at the end of the day, it won't remain, it won't be stagnant with inflation because it has that capped max supply. Yep, that word is limited in such a high amount of it has already been lost. He refers to himself as an alchemist by trade. That's actually kind of sick. I mean, he kind of is an alchemist. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Daniel, it's just, I don't know, man. I feel like crypto's the future. That's for sure, though. That's what I'm a huge believer in. But yeah, an alchemist by trade, dude. That's so funny. Yeah, no, that seems like a pretty sweet side gig. I mean, this is kind of what I'm doing with my business, though. I mean, obviously, I own Pokemart USA. And so it's one of these things where it's like, I have my breakers, I sell my product. And so, like, this is kind of like my side gig. And then I stream Wednesdays, I do the playthroughs. And then Fridays, I do the Poke Talks. It's like, this is one of my side business. Could I do this long term? Yeah, I think that'd be sweet. But to be honest with you, as far as it stands right now, it's one of these things where I created the business because of COVID and I tried to find ways to make money because I'm an investor at the end of the day. And not to mention the Pokemon market, I believe in long term. And so I don't know. I think, like, for me personally, this is a really cool gig. Like, I'm very blessed to have what I do. Not to mention, like, for you guys to come here and talk with me and help support the channel, because obviously I'm trying to grow as much as I can through subscribers on Twitch and YouTube. Like, I mean, it's much appreciated, guys. Seriously, though, I haven't said it. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. But yeah, I know, because it's like, there's just so much opportunity in the market, you know? And that's one of the things where a lot of people just are too afraid to take risks, and so they won't look into it. Or they just are uneducated just because of the way in which our system is in America. So it's crazy to say the least. Okay, so this is really starting to annoy me too. So I've been going for this shiny Sobble for the past 3 days of streaming. I should do a shiny giveaway, Shrimps. Oh yeah, is that so? Welcome to stream, Shrimps. As far as it goes with the shiny giveaway, I could possibly do that. But to be honest with you, Shrimps, I don't have many shinies to give away. And if I were to do a shiny giveaway, I'd also want to do it with a bigger audience. Because if I have, for example, I could do it with followers. You know, you could say that, where I give it away. But also at the end of the day, it's one of these things where it's like, if I have, hypothetically speaking, because if I go on, so YouTube I have 77 subscribers, Twitch I have 33 followers. Let's say, for argument's sake, that half the the majority of people on Twitch also follow me on YouTube. That's like 40 people entered, and I'm going to give away a shiny. I feel like I would want to have at least a little bit more people to do it. Yeah, no problem. Hey, thank you, Seth, for stopping by. And then also, don't forget to follow me if you want to, you know, stay up to date on any of just the stuff that Pokemart USA is happening. Like I said before, we do breakers on Monday. Wednesday, I do live streams. And then Fridays, I do Poke Talks. We're going to have a guest on. His name's Pokenomics. He's gonna talk about the Poke Market with me. And so, yeah, thanks for stopping by, brother. Hopefully I'll get to see you again. So, because I stream actively Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it'd be great to see you. But yeah, no. Shrimp has finished giving away almost all shinies. Oh, I see. Is that so? Well, brother, I'm still trying to get my shiny. Not gonna lie to you, and I'm having terrible luck. So, but now Shrimp has a question. Oh, I see, Shrimp. What was I gonna say? But I mean, to be honest with you guys, I've been going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I've had no luck. I do have a shiny charm, Shrimp. I do. I need to save the game. I haven't saved the game at all. Yeah, I have the shiny charm, and I'm using Masuda method. I've just had no luck. So I've been getting screwed, to say the least. So I'm definitely just trying to just survive at this point. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, literally it's like, oh, my back hurts. Ugh. Yeah, no, I have the shiny charm, I have the Masuda method, and I'm just getting terrible luck. And the funny thing is, for people who weren't there for when I said this, I just bought the expansion, and I said as soon as I got the shiny, as soon as I got a shiny Sobble, that I was going to, go play the max raid battles so I could do the shiny experience. But I wanted to do this first. So far, I've had absolutely terrible luck, so I don't think it's going to happen, sadly. I mean, next stream, to be honest with you, if by next Wednesday or next stream it doesn't happen, then it's just not going to happen, I guess. So, because I really want to get into the Crown Tundra and do some max raid battles. So, because the shiny odds are so much better on it. So it's like I'm just trying to get all the shiny luck I can possibly get. So, but yeah, no, anyway, where was I last talking about it? Yeah, no. And to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna start wrapping up pretty soon here, so because I am starting to get burnt. I've been going for almost 2.5 hours now. And so, and I'm just no shiny luck. Just no shiny luck whatsoever at all. So sick, still nothing. Dude, that's what I'm saying, Daniel. My God, dude. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if I actually did do that? If I could start hatching shinies. Okay, so Shrimp, you weren't there for this. But so I do breakers on Mondays now, but I used to do breakers on Sundays. And a while back, I was doing a Champions Path breaker where Daniel and one of his coworkers bought into it, right? And straight up, I pulled from Champions Path, I think I opened 90 packs altogether. 4 Charizards, 2 shinies, 2 rainbow rares. It was absolutely insane, dude. Like, the actual odds of that happening are crazy low. So the fact that that happened was just nutty. So yes, please, if I can get that same shiny luck, that would be so much appreciated. And the thing that's always tripping me out the most, shiny Mewtwo from Hidden Fates, I also did find that too. That is true. I did also pull that as well. That was also crazy. That was super exciting too. And it was the funniest thing too, because literally I was like, we were opening the Shining Fates, and did I pull a Leafeon too? You got one of the evolutions, and I forgot which one it was. But I remember we were like, man, you only got one evolution. That's not bad, but it's not amazing. And then I ended up messaging you the next day being like, bro, I found a Mewtwo that I didn't. Yeah, it was a Leafeon. What, dude, Leafeon's worth like $50-$60 on graded. I don't remember what the centering was on it, but dude, your centering was like, I mean, it's going to be a 9 or a 10. So you just hit the bank. But I want to check something out here first. Where's my Pokédex? I like to do this just to make myself feel like I'm not crazy. But if I go down to Sobble, and then if I look at different types, yep, it won't let me go and see different types. Which means that if I can't see different types, oh, dude, that's sick, Shrimp. Dude, yeah, no, I have a shiny Eevee, and it's in my Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire game. It doesn't have the best IVs, so maybe I'll give that away, Shrimp. But sorry about that. But yeah, no, because I typically, but I might also keep it just purely because I want to get the shiny dex. Because I think the shiny dex would be sick to have. It would take forever to do. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the next upcoming Shining Fates, though. Speaking of Shining, to be able to complete that set would be so sick. Sobble, let's get rid of you. But yeah, no, I'm just curious how much it's going to cost. So, because if we look at Hidden Fates, so I did the math. For Hidden Fates, I think it's going to come down to probably at this point around $2,000 to complete the whole set. Which, if you really think about it, that's not bad in the grand scheme of things. If you're talking about getting them all in near mint condition. Like, long term, I feel like they could get good value. So I'll be interested to see what Shining Fates is like when it comes to how much it's going to cost. But goodness gracious, the Sobbles just hate me, dude. Oh, you want it from a pack battle? Dude, a PSA 10? Holy crap, dude. That probably is... How much are those worth? I think those are worth like $1,500 now. Dude, that's crazy good, actually. I'm going to rename this to Second Monitor, too, just so I remember. Yeah, 1,400 around there. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So $255 per person, 6 people, Unified Minds. Oh, that's sick. Speaking of Unified Minds, so I actually so what's interesting is I just got new breaker packs. Well, I should say I got new packs for the website, and I had a couple people reach out to me if I was gonna make them breaker packs, and one of them was Unified, one of them was Cosmic, and one of them was Evolutions. Well, I put them originally on the website purely for sale, right? So Evolutions, within the next day after someone messaged me saying I should make them breakers, or no, it was the same day actually. I had a guy from Germany reach out to me and said he wanted to buy every single Evolution packs I had, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not doing a breaker for that. So I want to do a breaker for Unified and Cosmic, because I think that'd be super cool. It was the same night you lowered the price. Oh, that's so funny. Hey man, send the shiny hunting. It's always fun to shiny hunt shrimps. I don't know why you keep referring to yourself in first person. I don't know, third person. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I remember that, Daniel. And it's interesting too to see, because now Champions Path products are starting to go up a little bit in value, because obviously everything's just so scarce. Shrimp is shrimp, that's fair enough. Oh my goodness gracious. Alright, so I've been going for about 2.5 hours, and I just said that I was gonna, well, that I was only gonna go for that long because I'm starting to get burnt. So just a couple of announcements. Obviously, so not obviously, so I mentioned this before, but Monday I do pack openings, and if you buy into the breaker, I will also break open packs for you the same time that I open packs. And those, so how it works is I'm going to open half a booster box for myself, and then anyone who buys off the website, I will open your packs after. Wednesdays I do shiny hunting or playthroughs, And then Fridays I do Poke Talks. However, this Poke Talk is going to be 10:30 on Friday, Pacific Standard Time, because we have a special guest coming. And so, yeah, that'll be super exciting to have Jake from Pokenomics. He's got about 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'll be super excited to see him come on with that. But yeah, no, so basically that's kind of what our streaming schedule looks like. Obviously, once again, you see it on the page, PokemartUSA.com if you want to check us out. But yeah, no, as far as it goes, guys, like I said before, streaming for 2.5 hours. If you guys want to come stop by, the chat will be live on Friday for you guys to ask me or Jake questions. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much for stopping by and supporting the stream. But until next time, I'll see you guys around. Thanks again.